All right, guys, thanks so much. Yeah, 2 o'clock, 2 hours to go in the trading session. As we move towards the close, we're dealing with a lot of volatility in individual names. The market, as Trader Brad was saying, they're coming back to the downside here. It has been a positive day, a much needed bounce overall for the market. We'll see if we can hold on to some of these gains that we've racked up so far today. Still 0.8 for the S&P. Here's a look at how things stand as far as the individual sectors and groups are concerned this afternoon. Still overall a positive day, as I mentioned, 0.8 right now for the S&P. It's actually the banks that are leading up here. Individual banks, a few of the regional smaller ones that reported earnings today in negative territory. Pretty much everything else, though, back to the upside, including Morgan Stanley there leading the way, 5.8%. Reporting earlier in the week, obviously. Goldman was here as well, I saw earlier. Looks like it's maybe pulled back. Oh, there it is right there, 1.9%. For GS, tech stocks also having a nice day. Micron, the standout here in the semiconductor group, 1.3% to the downside, but a whole bunch of these really nicely positive otherwise. 4.5% for SEDG. There's Enphase, 4.3% back to the upside. FFIV, some positive news, positive notes from a few analysts on that one today. Now over here, 3.3% in the software group as well, back in positive territory. If we go to the consumer discretionary group, some travel names catching a bump, a much needed bump, I guess you could say, for some of these. RCL, NCLH leading the way there, 3%, 2.3. For the cruise lines, GRMN, VFC, NVR in the consumer durables to the downside. A little bit. Energy stocks are higher. Oil's higher. Communication higher as well. Match, EA, and Twitter leading the way. 4% today for Match Group. We'll talk about Peloton, obviously, because, hey, that was exciting on the way back down. Looks like, anyways, trying to roll over here. For PTON, Affirm with the move down on that news as well. Yeah, it's a temporary halt, it looks like, for Peloton. About 6 weeks, they're going to shut things down. I was reading one note from an article essentially saying that they've accumulated so much inventory that they basically have been forced to do this just to kind of get rid of some of their units before they start making them again. So obviously not a good look for Peloton. As I said, trying to move back to the downside here. There we go. Looks like the big board is finally working, so we can show where everything is at this point. There's the market right now. 0.83, 0.73, 1% for the NASDAQ, 1.4 for Brazil, back in positive territory today. Crude oil about flat, 2.7. For Bitcoin, 3% for Ethereum at the bottom there. So let's get into a few things to discuss this afternoon. We're going to talk some options ideas coming up a little bit later in the hour. Miss Danielle Shea from Simpler Trading going to swing through and talk about Netflix. Obviously, earnings aftermarket tonight for Netflix. She'll give us her take on how to play that and a few other names coming up. Next week on the earnings front, let's kick things off with a look at one trade that we talked about this morning, and then we'll get into a few other things that we're moving around in the morning. Here comes Sean with a look at one of his.
Gotcha, Brendan. This one actually was not even on our radar this morning, man. This is Peloton, and it's our trade of the day, and it's super exciting. We're going to keep this up just so you can watch the kind of craziness that's happening in Peloton. This is a live level 2. You can see the bid in the ass just pumping through tons of volume here. We're at 61.1 million shares. It's kind of funny because me and my man Tony were about to go get coffee. I had my jacket on and everything. All of a sudden, bing bong, we heard this news on Peloton, and we came running back to our desk, and we actually missed the whole move, okay? But when we sit down, it hadn't halted yet. So right here is when we started to halt, the very first halt at 28.30 or so. You're gonna see an out here. It actually fake halted. So we probably have it on air. You can watch it. Our 2 p.m. show it was about 12:50 or so. So we got in at 35, whatever it was, 28.35, and then it looked like it was going to bounce back up. So we got short and out, and then once it didn't, we got short again. So here we go, all the way to the downside. Our first piece out there, Peloton comes out, news, of course. Brendan just talked about it. They're not making bikes anymore. They're pausing their whole business, it seems like. So this is going to be nuts. I still can't wrap my head around what's exactly happening with Peloton, but an internal document leak. So let's talk about the trade. Here it is. So that's the in and out right there. but it doesn't matter. We reload the in. Then we get out of 20% on the very first take. That's like 50 cents. We're like, okay, that's not bad. Let's see where we go. And then all of a sudden, bang, it tanks all the way back down to 26.50. So right now we're in about $1, $2 or so of a winner. And so what do? Right before it halts, we get a piece out because we're like, maybe on the next halt, maybe it's going to go back up. Who knows, right? So we don't get short again. That's a mistake. We should have got short again instead of getting out of a piece. Then all of a sudden we're saying, okay, let's put out another piece on open. So we do that. We get out on open. Boom. Then all of a sudden, man, it was like, hallelujah. You know, the seas parted and it just absolutely tanked. And these are all out. So out there, out, out, out. And again, all we really did was pretty simple. We watched it tank all the way back down. So our first out right there, 23.50 or so. It completely tanks. When it comes back up and takes out that 23.50 again, we just put in a marketable order to get out. We're like, you know what? Maybe it is reversing. And it turns out that that's exactly what winds up happening. And it actually halts down here, opens back up, goes long off the halt, boom to the upside. And then right here, we're like, okay, maybe we've already seen a bottom. So this is where we go short, only short during all of this. Then that is a long position. You notice all of these outs here are red. Anything purple is going to be a short except for there, and I'll explain why. But anyways, all the way to the upside, get out of a little bit on open again, as per usual. Then it just starts to climb, and we start getting out 25.50, 26. Remember, this is a 25 halt. And then we were actually sitting up here, and I was saying to Neil, we're sitting at VWAP there and at this 50-period moving average, trying to get out. But it was just bouncing around 27 too much. So instead, I just offered 27. So that comes out as a short sell because I already have a sell there. But that's me closing the trade. That'll change itself up. So there's our last out at 27. So hey, short 28-ish, out, 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 reverse to the long there on the first halt to the upside, and then take it and take our last $1.50. Ooh, it's Peloton. We're going to have to hop on the Peloton after this, if they still make them. But what a good trade of the day, Peloton. Let's just see what it is now, kind of hovering around. But even there, as we did it, 1 million more shares, gone off 62 million shares here on the day. Peloton, a fun one to trade. I hope you enjoyed that.
So much to discuss when it comes to news halts in that sense, the volatility and the opportunity behind some of those moves. We're going to get into that a little bit further here this afternoon and give you some more ideas on how you can possibly take advantage when things like that happen in the middle of the day and no one's really, expecting it or paying attention to capitalize on it. There are still great opportunities, as Sean was just saying. That is the link to the watch list, guys. If you're wondering, absolutely free to you every single morning. Make sure you grab that before we come on at 8:30 in the pre-market. I mean, let's take a second here, guys, and just talk about this because obviously, a $3,000 plus piece of fitness equipment. Never mind, the subscription, the monthly aspect that comes along with it. Not going to be for everyone. This ends up being, a great trade during the pandemic and during the stay-at-home aspect of what has happened over the past, year and a half or whatever it's been. But at the end of the day, they, have way too much inventory and now need to get rid of some before they continue.
Yeah, and look, just a couple of things. Like Peloton's been under pressure already, so you do have a little bit of panic in the market. I'm pulling the daily chart really, really far back when I talk about this, just so you can see kind of how far it's come up and down from like a 170 top. From what I was able to read, and of course the first headline when this leaked document came out, or internal release, whatever you want to call it, was that they were halting production of their bike. And ultimately, I think part of why it's starting to settle down a little bit here in this tighter range is apparently it's starting next month, a 6-week pause. So they built up too much inventory and therefore there's not enough demand to get rid of them. So they're going to be pausing. Now, could that get extended? Sure, obviously it's not great news, but they're taking some actions to curb those costs, reduce the inventory, which is what you're supposed to do. Obviously, the algos had a field day with this, and you're breaking some key levels on the way down, right? Like you're making a $30 break. Some stops are going to get triggered there. You're going to have a volatility halt, and then you're going to have traders that are piling in on this. The whole time we were making this trade, like part of me was, if all we're seeing is this, lack of detail, I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't like some kind of why wouldn't you pause the stock and just allow the company to further comment? There was a clarification, I think, eventually that got doled out somewhere around the bottom. And the other one, and I'm kicking myself over this one, and I should have immediately made the connection because, when a firm first came to market, in Peloton, like one of the biggest items that was constantly buy now, pay later in the US was the Peloton bike. It's a big part of their business. So when that happened, the algo started triggering that one down. And then firm was up on the day when this happened, and it flushed, almost halting down. It actually resisted a halt on a 60 break, and then it's come almost all the way back. I'm actually short both of these right now. Peloton off like that 27 area that Sean was talking about. And then, essentially 2 shots here in front of 67. First in front of it, and then when it gave a failed break, I just came right back into the trade. And I'm back short trying to get this to VWAP. So, it's obviously not the greatest news in the world, but we'll have to, this is one where you're going to want to check back in for some updates, because do they extend that production hold? Is it more than just the 6 weeks, right? So not great news for Peloton. Heck of an opportunity for us active traders. But this story is clearly not going to be done for quite some time.
Yeah, heck of an opportunity. Yeah, needless to say. We kid with Brendan there as we talk about, trades come out of absolutely nowhere. And all of a sudden, so I was having a good day, actually. And, UiPath was my #1 stock. Sofi was right behind it. You guys saw AMC. I mean, Sofi's rocking and rolling. I mean, look at these trades we had on Sofi. Just, again, one long and out, great trade there. We're into Palantir right now again, so we'll see where that goes. But for right now, anyways, I want to talk quickly about, there's UiPath as well, in and break, finally breaks. Took nice money on that. But what I was trying to get at is that Peloton, out of nowhere, I'm now 5 times, it's 5 times my best stock. So that's kind of like what we're talking about. When you see actionable trades like this that come through when there's going to be volume, and it's like these are the opportunities that traders like Neil and I wait for, right? And it's like we're going to sit here and watch stock all day. You got to take advantage when there's moves like this, and it's just like clean, bang, bang. I mean, we have the top here of the first halt. We don't have this move, unfortunately. Like I said, I was literally wearing my parka. Shout out to Playmaker there. He was kind of mocking me about Macklemore there, but I think that was fine. But anyways, all the way to the downside here, as we were wearing our jacket, we came back. I don't know, I think Macklemore's pretty good. I don't know, I think he's like a blast from the past.
I guess
What was
so,
that Macklemore song? Dun, 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 goes, it gets a fast and then slow. Shoot. This is Macklemore's old.
There's too many things moving for me to remember.
Anyways,
songs.
yeah, who knows what it is? I'm like completely out of it right now. But anyways, so needless to say, it was a big move to the downside. We reloaded on that long there, take a shot, and we basically have the top and the bottom. But what a great trade Peloton was. And again, the point, long story short, although it doesn't seem to be that long or that short, is that you got to take advantage of opportunities. And that's all that it is, man. Like, if you're not sitting at your desk, run back. Like, we reloaded up, and, it's just one of those opportunities. Go ahead.
Okay, but don't run too fast. I know you remember this, right? Like, this is back in our old...
I remember Tony almost hit
our old office. We had a trader who was, he was all over trading something. I think it was Fannie and Freddie when they were going crazy, and the guy was having a gigantic day, and then he took his first break in the afternoon at 1 o'clock to stop trading, and then a crazy move happened. He heard some screams from the floor, and he comes sprinting in from the floor. He has to make a U-turn to get to his desk. And then, of course, he smashed his leg on, I think, a corner of something. Yeah, it was bad. Bleeding down. It was horrible.
Oh, no, you know what it was? I thought he smashed his leg on a little fridge.
It was the fridge. It was the fridge. Yeah, either way, it wasn't a good look.
We had a bar fridge on the floor. And he
walk
ran
fast.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't run into anything. Don't slip on anything. Don't get hurt, because, you're going to miss opportunities if you're not at your desk. But if you, break a leg, you're also going to miss opportunities because you're in the hospital or whatever. But anyways, look, this is an unbelievable opportunity as a trader, and this is why we got to cover this. And like I said, I weirdly enough, I ended up short Virgin Galactic, and I was able to I canceled bids because that started flushing more. Instead of that, I should have gone right over to a firm. I'm almost going to be out here in front of 65. But I'll tell you, this affected a lot of things. What was the strongest stock all day today? It was Sofi. I was in Sofi short off the top, and it was basically barcoding off 16 to 1630, and all it was scalp trades. And when the Peloton thing hit, it just rolled right down to VWAP. It just cleanly was as clean a move as it was making that entire time. Virgin Galactic was sort of hanging out at the top as well. Around that $10 level, of course, I'm going to short it in front of 10. And it was, not doing a heck of a lot. Then it accelerated into VWAP, and that's continuing. And even the market started to roll over. So I'm not saying Peloton drives the market here. But certainly, like once that started going, you did have some other opportunities to maybe catch some stocks that were at the high that maybe had sympathy rollovers, because a lot of beaten up names caught bids today. And in that regard, once one domino fell, a bunch of others pulled back.
Every beaten up name. I mean, is there one?
I'm sure there's, okay, I'm going to make a guess. I haven't checked, I promise you. I'm going to say, like, maybe Context Logic has, but Root. I'm going to say Root has not made a bounce.
Let's see, go.
Okay, Root. Oops, it's on NASDAQ. I always type New York. Boom, Root is exactly flat on the day. So it has not bounced. That stock's not going anywhere. No one wants to buy this thing.
Anyways, okay. Oh, it's up 0.5%.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I'll take it. Anyways, okay, we are reloaded right now on Palantir. It's up, Neil.
Look at the daily chart. Come on, Root's not up.
Oh, it's up on the day is what we were talking about. Okay. Anyways, Palantir, we reloaded this. If it goes below 1510 here, which is going to happen right now, we're gone. I mean, we're long at 1516 now. If it does break any lower than this, it's small. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, my last fill was 14, yet my average price, here it goes, is 16, right? So we put on the big shares right there. We'll see where it goes now, but hopefully back up to the upside. VWAP would be nice, which would be 24.25. But right now, I don't know, Brendan, do you have any news on this? Because I'm not really seeing anything, although...
Market.
I'm saying the market. Yeah, I'm not. Who cares about Palantir? But the market. There it goes. We'll be out of this. Ooh, no. The market heading to. There we go. The market heading to the downside. There. We're out of Palantir. So yeah, we do get beat up there. We just went over to a name that we're pretty familiar with, and I thought bouncing off that 15. I'm not done with Palantir. It's just with this market going to the downside now. There's really no point in sitting here and holding something, especially something that's up on the day. I want to get into this because it's up on the day, and I think it's going to recover, better than the market if the market does. But I'm not convinced the market's going to recover right now. Even a name like DraftKings is up today, Neil, but that's only up that 0.37 as well. All these names were rocking
and then they turn around.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the NASDAQ making this move, honestly, the companies that have been beat up are the ones that are going to get hit again, right? On nice moves to the upside, we get a rebound in ARC shares. Today, you get a rebound in UiPath. That's why we were trading it. UiPath, one of my number ones was now my number 2 stock on the day. As we took that through 37, that's a bid. Then there, and out, and then the last out right there. But anyways, it's just as this market goes, man, these stocks are going to be in trouble as Palantir is still bouncing around.
Before we go to Brent to the next topic, just that market roll you just saw in Peloton, like I'm telling you, it's those beaten up names, because that same time, Virgin Galactic broke VWAP, spiked down, and just got out 951. Affirm as well. That exact same moment, that ticked down right into 65. So it just feels like it's a sector. It's almost like a sector that's moving, and it's the high valuation names that have been torched the last few months. They caught bounces this morning. They're all starting to give back, and they're moving in concert. You can call Peloton the leader. Although there's another one on the list, which I guess we didn't talk about nearly as much today, Brendo.
Just reading some comments here, guys, from Fed officials on digital currency. So it looks like there was a white paper that just came out on the effects or possible effects of digital currency. So the Fed making some comments currently. But yeah, quick reversal there for the overall market as well, back to the downside. Looks like we are trying to bounce a little bit now, but we'll keep an eye on that. Bitcoin not really moving around. But yeah, let's move on to Sofi. I put volume on there because, wow, more volume today, significantly more volume today already at 220 than we saw all day yesterday. So over 200 million shares traded here, doing a good job holding above 15.5, where we kind of topped out there a little bit going back a month or two ago.
Yeah, I was going to say we are... Oh man, you guys like that too much now. I'm reloaded into Palantir here. I'm going to give this one just a 15.04. If it breaks, I don't know why I'm picking that level. I just don't want to deal with it at 15. I feel like if it crashes through that level, then I'm just going to lose 5 more cents for no reason. So we'll actually put on 3x share size right now, because we're only going to try to hit this for a 6-cent loss. Yeah, I'm long at 11s. I'm long at 10 10 and change here, but 11 on the downside for that. Okay, SoFi, yeah, look, SoFi's on our sticky note today. It's a great, or was it? I don't know, it was on yesterday for sure. Anyways, it's a great name to trade. We talked about the volume yesterday, I believe was, what did you say, 160? I thought it was something like that, 160, 170, 130, something yesterday off the bank charter. And today, everyone has a day to digest the information, and they like it. So there it goes, SoFi, putting us all, hopefully, back in the money on all of our SoFi trades. That's a dangerous thing, because as people get back into the money, do we buy more, or do we get out because we're like so glad that we're back up to the 50-period moving average? For me, I'm staying in this for a very long time. I think this is, I've already called it one of the trades for the year. I just think the upside is bigger than the downside on SoFi. The downside is still like $6, $7, $8, right? So there is a lot of potential here for it to drop back down. I think we have a nice base here at 12, and up here, I tried to get out of my position up here, and I didn't try that hard, and then it just tanked, and it was like, how many days in a row did it just keep on going down, and then I let it get out of hand. So SoFi right now, I'm long, and I'm long like right here, 1550 in the long-term account, but I believe that this area is always now going to have to be looked at between $13.50 and $14. That's a couple days now where we've had this kind of support, despite the day that we cracked lower. We talked about that. I like this support now. Bank charter's in, so hey, the news is out, and I think it's upside here from SoFi. So let's just hold it out. And for today's trade, you guys want to know a spot today? I know Neil will say some stuff too, but I mean, you can get this here. It's bounced off VWAP, which is 1560 once, and then again right there, but that's kind of the same bounce. And then we just tested again right now and back up to the upside. So for me, I think I'm probably done with SoFi here today. I have a big position on Palantir that's not working, and we're now green on the day on Palantir here, even despite it's only going up this much. We took a one spot out. We'll see if we get another one. But here we go. SoFi, for me, I'm not going to reload that one unless there's a big move to the downside, but it was a fantastic trade. Number 3 today for me.
And you mentioned the first thing you said was like, well, one of the first things you said was the 50 period. And if you look at the last time it got to this price, 1650 right here, then the 50 period moving average right at 1650 today. So when this moved to the upside, I'll go to the 1 minute chart. That's fine. It's a pretty good look. This is it spiking to 1640 the first time, lower consolidation short, scalped it out, reloaded it here right at the 1650 level, actually got stopped out, which is a mistake because this is actually 40. So I end up stopping out at the high of the day that time, which was not 50, but it goes up to 47, so doesn't get to 50. Well, that means I'm just going to re-enter. And that's been the theme today. It's worked on DWAC. It worked here on SoFi. You get a failed break, and you've got to just be able to jump back into the trade. It's just one of those things a lot of times. It hasn't really violated that level, so it's still in play. Your reason for wanting the position has not materially changed. You just happen to have lost on the trade previous to it, right? So the market doesn't care that you lost on the trade previous to it. Is it still set up for the short? It was. So grab the short, and then, of course, Peloton happened, allowing it to come all the way to VWAP. It looked like it was probably just going to give 30 to 40 cents. It then gave the last leg out here to 1560. I think it's in a bit of a channel. It's managed to bounce with the market off of VWAP here. I think 1650 is definitely the key level. That's what we're going to be keying off of at least the rest of this afternoon. And yeah, while we do that, I mean, some Peloton, I just got out of, like I said, got out of a firm, but I am actually still in Peloton short when I reloaded off this in front of VWAP. It's now been trying to break this 26 level. If it does break this, I'm looking to hold through this halt price at 25.40 or so, and then try and get it out in front of 24. That was the bottom here at 24 was the halt bottom after it opened up and snapped back up. It did get to 23 and change, but I'm kind of going to use 24 as a floor, and that's what I'd like to hold till. It either breaks 27.30 or I get that move to the downside, or of course the market could close on me and then I have to be flat before 4 o'clock.
Let's go into Lucid, guys. Worth a mention here today. Still positive nicely. In fact, up 1%. The pipe comes and goes, allegedly. Not much volume to speak of in regards to that, but not much to do here, I guess, is the way to put it today as well. It was pretty choppy, around 42.5 here off the open. We end up kind of fading back into 40 here for LCID.
I came with some hot fire in the beginning of the day with Lucid, and then there was nothing after that. So we came with the 41.50. It's on our sticky note. We really, really like that 41.50, but Unfortunately, it didn't do much. We went, well, I mean, it went great for us, 41.50, and then the same about, what, 2 or 3, 4 minutes later, we got some out at 80, so that right there is 30 cents, and then our top out was 42.50, and we based that on some of these, that's the one day, on yesterday's high there, 42.50 or so, into this area, 43, 42.50. It's right there. It's that wick right there yesterday that we played it off of. So it actually extends a little bit more today in the pre-market, but you get it out at that level. And for me, that's it, man. Lucid, pretty simple trade. We did pay for the shorts. There was the lockup yesterday. That seems like a lot to do about nothing for the pipe lockup yesterday. And we'll just see what happens now with Lucid. But for me, it was one in. And that's it. Like, if I was looking at it more, obviously we had lots to do with Peloton, but if we were looking at it more, there might have been a bid here for me, trying to protect 41 because we did have some pre-market levels there. But once that broke, it's kind of to the downside, and now we're just, like, it's just barcoding. And I've got to give a shout out to the viewers because we always use that terminology. But barcoding is just when you look like a barcode, back and forth, nothing happening. So for me, Lucid right now is going to be a nothing burger. And then we'll look over at Rivian. And again, the same type of thing. If you get some of these drops, they're fantastic, but we missed it. We did highlight 72 bucks. We were thinking about going long there on the sticky note, but it looks like we identified a decent level at 72. It's just, it was the other way. So 72 all the way to the downside. To me, nothing gets exciting until we break these VWAPs, and we're well away from that. So I don't think we're going to be looking at Lucid or Rivian for me, but
I did. I was the same as you. I was one and done. When 42 broke, that was the first short. It never got to 43.5. Now, as long as it tries to put in higher lows, it could form a wedge right to a 43.5 break. And I think that's the key level. Like, it's obviously not falling like a rock right now, so it's got support at 39, and then you got this 43.50 break, which just has not happened. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, a lot can happen in the next hour and a half here. But Lucid, oddly enough, even in that last flush where like a bunch of the market rolled over, like Lucid had a bit of a move, but it's been slowly grinding down and was already below some of those lows. Whereas you had some of these other names which were up at those highs that started rolling over, which was a little more interesting. But Lucid, obviously, it's going to be in play. But I think it needs to break out of this channel, whether it's 39 bottom or 43.5. That's when I think it's going to get a little bit more clean to trade.
Let's talk Tesla here. There was an interesting headline I saw today that I wanted to throw out there. I mean, it really hasn't done much today, but here we go. According to Electrek, which is that EV-focused magazine, Tesla has applied for multiple trademarks to sell their own audio equipment, including headphones and more. So just when you remember, there was that whistle we showed on the show going back a month or so ago. Just when you thought Tesla was running out of ideas, we might be getting, guys, Tesla headphones in the near future.
Okay, the whistle, which looked a lot like the Cybertruck, which may or may not be a thing, but that was like, I think it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek
against whistleblowers
joke, which, you know, and obviously it's sold out. So, but whatever.
I still want one of those, guys. Send me one of
It'd be cool as hell. Like, but that's the thing. Like the pink shorts idea. Like that's the kind of thing that Elon loves to do. As far as the stock goes, it's holding up decently well. I mean, up 2.5% still when the market is given back. And the Nasdaq was at 1.25, and now we're at like 0.8 to the upside. So Tesla has managed to hold up. And about the only thing, and look, there was a lot happening this morning. I'm not making excuses, but I've actually traded. I'm trying to count this up. I don't think I've traded more than 15 names in a long time. When they do the P&L, it's just 20 names are going to be rolling over. So it's been very, very active today. And 1040 was the level. I was like, 1040, that's pretty much, it's that. I missed the bounce at 1,000. So to see Tesla turn at 1040, and you don't see any executions on my board here. It's not like I have this stupid thing. But it got right to that 1040 level that I liked, and it tried to break out, and then it just rolled right over. And here's, on the 15, it's going to be a bit deceiving because you'll see, well, yeah, but Neil, it traded above here. That's 1050. These are pre-market trades. If you look at yesterday's action at the open, it was a breakdown at 930 at that 1040 level. That's pretty key. So, that's going to be an interesting level for me. The 1,000 mark, it managed to bounce off it this morning. So I suppose that's back in play. 980, of course, to the bottom has been pretty good support. Everything seems to be turning around here. I mean, we better not give it up again because I'm feeling like it's a broken record. Like, how many days in a row are we going to have a gain back in the NASDAQ and then trending back into the downside in the afternoon? We have to talk about how the market closes near those lows. I'm blaming Peloton this time because it felt like it was smooth sailing. Like, nothing was pulling back. Nothing was really pulling back. Everything was hanging at the highs, and it looked like they were going to pretty much stay there. SoFi was cruising. And then
the thing is, the market didn't crash until 1 o'clock, which I don't know. I think
well, maybe it was the same. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, Peloton. No, you're right. I mean, it just
was it the same? It was the same.
No.
Okay.
Peloton was like 12:30 right here. But
still
the point is, what you're saying is accurate, man. Look at lower highs, like bang. This is just a 1 minute chart. This is the NASDAQ. Couldn't go again. Like we couldn't keep making it to these highs. We'll talk to Danielle about this coming up soon. She's going to talk about Netflix. I'm going to talk to her maybe about how you could deal with a declining market and maybe to hedge some of your positions with options, because right now, man, the market just like it doesn't have any love to it. It goes up and then it's like people just wait to start to hammer this to the downside. And I was even saying today, nothing wrong with the strategy of just every time it bumps up, man, get out and then just figure out prices higher that you don't mind getting back in. So that way it's like you have some capital preservation into your account, because like if you just got out on most of these bumps, and I'm not saying you don't want to buy back the same day, but I mean, as a strategy, it seems like every afternoonish we start to just fade back in. So I mean, yeah, it's tough. Here I am sitting in longs and talking about this, but I mean, it's to the downside one more time here today. And Tesla, look, they're starting to accept Dogecoin. They've talked about that as well. So maybe there's something to that, like why they're doing merchandise here because of Doge and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see where we go. But I'm excited for Tesla. I'm a shareholder. I think any news that the billionaire comes up with and any sort of new ideas, people are going to eat it up, right? People have made literally millions, hundreds of millions. We even have people on our chat that I know personally have made millions of dollars, or they've told me anyways. I don't know anybody, but that they've told me that they've just crushed it. And it's like, Tesla's one of those names that people will hold forever because they've made so much money. So, hey, I'm a Tesla fan and I'm a buyer at 900.
And before we move on, Brendan, I'm getting curious about this BRFH, because like this is multiple halts, but it's done, first of all, it's done zero volume. Like when I say zero, I mean 127,000 shares this is traded, and it looks like it's halted half a dozen times. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll be trading it, but I keep seeing people talk about this one in the chat. If you're long, obviously try to take profit somewhere. If you're thinking about trading it, trade with extreme caution. If you're thinking about shorting it, my personal advice is don't, and I like to short just about everything.
Yeah, good point. Bar Fresh Food Group. Trader Prad was talking a little bit today about how if there isn't a certain amount of volume on a stock, he doesn't even see it on his scanners. So that is probably why I have also not seen that, because that's basically nothing. A liquidity issue, maybe. It looks like, I mean, it's tiny anyway, 6 million float on that BRFH. So a heads up on that. Let's talk about some of these Chinese names real quick before we move on, because I mean, pretty impressive all day long here for Alibaba. We're right at session lows once again. It's been down here 1, 2, 3 now 4 times, 132 even-ish, but 3.5-ish% as well for Baba.
And so, like, I was just, and by the way, like, I'm sitting there complaining about, the market rolling over. I get it. I know look, the NASDAQ pullback, it's in correction territory. And I'll be the first person that, like, early last year was saying, well, inflation, this and that, and then was like, wrong. I was saying it's not transitory for a long time. I'm probably more pessimistic, and maybe that's not the word, or conservative than most. It's just one of those, like, it's frustrating. I want to see like an update for everybody, because everyone likes the market to go up. But Baba, I'm not going back to the well with the level I liked this morning. So it was a 132 on the dip. I got it. I took it out at 134 and essentially was just looking to capture the previous couple of days resistance point at 132. And when it gapped up, I'm like, okay, that's the price I'll defend. It went right up, spiked into this level, so that's the day before, and then essentially turned around. So that was a one and done. With the market rolling over like this, I'm not going back to this particular well. Like, I'm not going to say, okay, 32 was good before, I'm just going to jump back into an Alibaba. I think if it starts to fill in the gap, I mean, this could be back at a 130. It would still be up on the day if it was back at 130. So I'm not jumping back into it. It was a good trade off that level, but it could not hold any of those gains. It was a gap up and then a complete reversal. So good day overall for some of these names. I don't think any one of them managed to hold it up. Of course, we're talking about the market coming back in, so that was probably going to happen anyways. But Baba, very, very close to breaking the low of the day, and that's that 132 level. From there, I guess 130 would be your next support. But count me out for trying to long it in the afternoon.
Yeah, look out below, man. A lot of these markets are falling. We were able to, just an update, you could see all of these, I mean, it's gonna look crazy, but you could see all of these outs here on Palantir. I told you we went big there, but we're gonna get dropped off here, breaking through 05, I believe I set the order. So, oh no, the trigger is 6, I gotta change that. We want the trigger to be 4, I guess, on a breakthrough 04. And we've gotten out of a lot of our trades, so we don't have to worry too much about that, but we're just setting up our keys right now to get out if it breaks back through. And we'll get out of most of them, but we'll hold a little bit for Palantir, breaking back through 1505, and we'll get out of that one. So hey, it's almost out. But the reason why we change it is because we were able to take out a decent amount up here. So we'll give it back if it drops back down, and that's just, like I said, we would have loved to get everything out, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening as the market just keeps on pushing lower, man, lower, lower, lower. So yep, any of these longs may not work, but we're going to give this one a little bit more. What did work early, there it is. Right here is Neo. Talking about some Chinese names. I don't even know what this wick is. Like, I looked back and I actually just got out of some partial shares there. Like, I didn't even realize we got out there. But there it comes all the way back up to the upside. We took Neo pretty quickly there, breaking through 29.70, and our best out is 30.05 or so. So like 25 cents worth of a win there on Neo. It goes all the way back up to the upside. But like Neil was just mentioning, you've already broken back down. We're below VWAP. Some of these Chinese names can't hold, but I still like Neo. Up 5%. Hey, it's a hell of a lot better than up 0.6% in the market. So all is well in Neo land for now.
We're talking strategies today, and we're talking specifically news halts, guys. One of those types of trades that can happen out of nowhere when no one expects it, but can produce some of the best opportunities you may get in a trading session. So as an active short-term trader, we have to be prepared to take advantage of breaking news, guys. Great example to talk about this today with Peloton saying, hey, guess what? We're not going to make bikes anymore. Wait, isn't that what they do?
Yeah, look, obviously some clarification on the headline, temporarily halting production, but the move was nothing, there was nothing temporary. Well, I mean, it was somewhat temporary, but it was a quick move to the downside. And look, if you catch this, I mean, the algos are going to be all over it at the initial beginning. But what you're going to see here, and I have a minute chart up almost on purpose because sometimes you can miss halt trades if you put it on like a 10-minute, you might not see. There are limit up-down rules and halt bands on a stock, right? So they take these 10% moves in too quick of a fashion, and then basically what is going to happen is once it has gotten to that halt band, you're going to see it go into a 15-second halt state. And what that means in practical terms is if it's a downward move, the stock cannot trade below that price. So imagine it was 25, 62, or 61, which I have on the level 2 here. Then the bid would essentially be stuck at that level. The offer would be piling up with people who want to sell shares, but they cannot sell it any lower than the current price. So in that 15 seconds, it can only go up. The offer can be printed. It can bounce back higher, but because it's a limit down trade, it can only trade up or at the offer. It cannot go through the bid. At the end of 15 seconds, if it has not moved, it goes into a halt state. Those halts are 5 minutes or they are 10 minutes long. Every once in a while, they're a little bit longer, funware, a little bit longer than that, but then they open up just like a regular auction would at the open or at the close. So you're able to use limit orders, market orders to get in and to get out. The idea being there's a lack of liquidity. Let's pause, let's calm down, let's reopen, and then maybe there'll be more liquidity. In this particular case, on news like that with Peloton, it took several halts before you see things calm down enough that it's trading continuously, only a couple of hours after the news gets disseminated. But the key thing is, once you trigger into that halt state, it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You use those regular orders that you would use for market on open or market on close to get into or get out of position. And they can be very lucrative trading around it, as you would see with Peloton specifically.
You know what's helped me a lot, and yeah, great explanation of what exactly we're dealing with here. What's helped me a lot is we have this thing called TAP, theoretical auction price. So if your broker has that, try to have a quick look because it does allow me some ins and some outs, right? It gives us like a little bit of, confidence on where we're gonna go with it. And again, how I like to trade halts is pretty simple. Like we missed this whole Peloton move, and then all of a sudden the halt comes and we get in and out there. So mind that one mark, but that's the first trade that we take was on the halt. And I just tend to, from experience, It doesn't happen all the time, but I would say it's like 90% of the time. The first halt, especially on news like this, just allows people to sort of, digest the information. It gets a lot of retailer traders in, because remember, when news hits, algos generally will be the only people trading that first halt move, because it happens too fast. They read the news wire and then bang, it happens. This is a 1 minute chart, right? So you see nothing but love to the downside here. It happens so fast. So sometimes you got to go over to the level 2 and say, oh my God, this is halting, and then just take the trade and ask questions later. So I think that's important. And don't forget, we did wind up going long here on that as well. So there are lots of possibilities that even in a bad situation, when you get halts here, then halts again, then halts again, sometimes there is a relief rally, because again, the news is still pretty new whenever something's halting, right? So everyone's got to sort of clean up their news feeds, try to understand what's going on. And a lot of the big brokerages, they'll go out and they'll find, like, what kind of prices are we looking at now? Is there maybe a low that we can go back? And again, I'm going to call up on the chart, and I don't have it zoomed back as much, but I thought someone was talking, Neil.
If you go back far enough.
Yeah, it's not going to load up, but I don't know if you have it on your daily, probably not. But if you go back far enough, there is a 24 level here on Peloton. So what I'm trying to get at is, here, okay, now it's finally loading. I don't know if the 24 level is any good.
It is.
But it's right down there. There's 17, and then right in here, there's like a 26 kind of level that people were talking about, 24, 25. So when you look back, we have to go all the way back to March of 2020, which we know what that was. Peloton, obviously a pandemic play all the way to the upside. This was $170, guys, back a year ago. Like a year ago today, this is 170. Today you're down to 25, but sometimes those halt levels and going back will help you a bit. I don't know if it did here, but that's almost turns on a dime at 24. So there's Peloton. It's not a fun day to trade it if you're long, but if you're a halt guy and you like to put on some halt trades, Peloton was fantastic.
Yeah, huge move to the downside on breaking news. Guys, you got to be in front of your computer in order to take advantage of these types of moves. Have a plan. Understand that you're going to miss that initial move, but there are still opportunities to be had after that initial move happens. That's a little look at breaking news, guys. And let's continue along here this afternoon. Wanted to mention a couple of things here before we bring on Miss Shea. Danielle Shea going to come through and talk a little bit about earnings further. We'll get into Netflix with her, Netflix after the close tonight. But I guess the bigger question here, a lot of people still kind of talking about this Peloton, guys. Is there a trade here, and what do we look for into the end of the day if there's going to be?
Oh, I think we're still talking Peloton, I'm assuming. That's
I missed it. What were you asking, Brendo?
People just wondering if there's going to be another trade on Peloton. What are we looking for in either direction here?
So, I mean, I'm still in the short from this morning. It seems like a long time ago, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's
2 hours, Neil.
It's 1:30 that I got the
2 hours.
It's oh my goodness, wow. Okay, so when it popped back up, it got to this 27 level. It tested it once, got to the quarters, and pulled back, right? So I got the short. I scalped some out in front of 26. It then retested, held the 27.30, and we talked about this on Trader Prad with Trader Prad on Market Movers in midday. I'm going to assume he's still short because I know he got back into it after it took 27 and held 27.30. So I'm going to assume he's riding this. Now, I got the bid down in front of 24, but I'll show you. I mean, obviously, you can see what's happening. This is when it halted to the upside. That price was 25.48, I think it was. Right around that same price area is being hugged. So it's respecting that halt band. So what I'm actually going to do, because it's in this tight cluster, is I got to think about a trail here. So if it breaks back and maybe takes out like 26, I'll just get out. Otherwise, I think if it takes out that low, and hopefully continues through 25, it should be able to get down to that 24 level. So I think there's still a bit of a trade. If you're shooting for a long, you have that halt level and even that reopen, which is like a 25.40 bottom. That's a tight stop here. You could, and I guess you could go long with a tight stop if you really liked it. I'm short off that 27.30. We let it hold that VWAP and hold that level, but you are seeing it respect that halt price. And a lot of times, if you don't have a lot of historical price levels to go off of, once something like this happens, the halt levels themselves end up being key levels. As a matter of fact, like, look, it just bounced off of that level. I'm going to trail it. I want to make sure I'm locking in profit. The big trade is to either somehow get the news sort of pumped in. The algos get that news disseminated to them like literally as data, and then can trade off of that. Like you're not even reading a news service, the algos that are hitting that. So either you got the halt trades, or right now I think you're playing off that VWAP or that halt level, which it's bouncing off of as we speak, 25.40.
I mean, I'm trying to find other opportunities today other than Peloton, because I feel like the market is getting ready to do something. I mean, I know it's made a big move down, but I'm just wondering about this level right here to see what's going to happen at 15,000. We're at 15,100. Obviously, it's a big move to get down to 15,000, but that'll put us about flat, and then we'll see where we go on that one. So I'm a little bit excited to see what does happen there. But as far as Peloton is concerned, man, I mean, the only other trade that I could really see, I mean, that's what we're sort of talking about, maybe is a 27 break back to VWAP here. A story comes out, and I mean, have we even got this story confirmed yet? Like, I mean, I know it was a leak, but.
So I mean, I'm just sort of saying, everyone said it's CNBC had that leak.
Yeah.
I saw other, like Reuters was basically confirming,
Okay.
but saying, citing CNBC. So it's not, I didn't think it was like independently. It was just they were citing CNBC and saying that it was a 6-week pause on production,
Right.
Which again, like you got to revisit that, because a 6-week pause. Okay, if they just do that because inventories are too big and then everything is back to normal, well, sure, it's not great, but then it's maybe not as bad as obviously everyone was thinking on the way down, because on the way down it was just Peloton is halting production of their bikes.
Right.
That was the headline. And then I think this is why it's consolidating, is because the clarification is not good, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. I think it's pretty bad, but not the end of the world. And there are other opportunities. So I want to quickly go to, because one of them's coming right now, DAT, which I'm still in. Fail break at $4. We talked about fail breaks. It goes to 03s, comes back down, consolidates, short at 88, scalps some to VWAP, it then goes right back to 88. Weird. That's just happens to be where I got in. It's that consolidation here in the previous high. Slams back down. This capitulation candle. At this point, I think it's cruising. I have a bid down here at 345, and then it consolidates again and is bumping up, and once again, right up to the 388 level. So it looks like DATS is setting up for a potential break. So watch out if it takes 4 again. As a matter of fact, if it breaks 390, I'm just going to get out. I'm thinking about a 4 break at this point. I know it went to 403, so I guess I should put the stop above 403, but DAT definitely looking like it wants to climb. Like, look at how well it held. Even with capitulations, it held these levels pretty well at 360 and is now climbing back to that 4 level. So there's one.
Yeah, that's a good-looking chart. Was that better? I don't know. That's
a good one.
Yeah, who knows? It's not a good one. Okay, so that was Peloton.
That was fine.
I'm looking for more longs here, because, like I said, maybe the market is bouncing off 15.1 now, and if it does, then I need some longs. So anybody in the chat that's like looking at something long, I've already looked at AMD today, trying to maybe find a long in this name, but we're red on the day, like we're down 1.5. You can see we've already made a little bit. I mean, I'm negative on AMD today. It's one of the only names that we're negative on. We're negative on AMD. We have Palantir pending. Other than that, we're pretty cash money on things here today, but trying to find a long. I'm thinking about a VWAP break through 127. That could be something that we look for as we're getting ready for Miss Danielle Shea. So I just want to get some ideas through here before we go. Let's look at Sofi. Sofi, again, my number 3 stock today. We've been running Sofi. I mean, look at this bid that we have down here on Sofi, guys. Like, we got long at 14.08. On Sofi today, 14.08 long, and then the carnival is in, and for some reason we get out at 15.25 there. So I don't know why we did that, but we did. So there it is, and then it rips up to the upside. So right now, Sofi, like I said when we pulled back, I didn't really like this trade because of what, and we're going to get out of our Palantir here as it's going to break 15. Oh, maybe not. But right now, this is a possible area to now get into your longs on Sofi. But again, I just, with a crashing NASDAQ right now, it just seems silly, man, to get into anything long, especially something that is so volatile that I feel like people may take profits on. Like, if you're panicking, the market's going down, and you have 15% in your account on Sofi today, you may just sell this one off. Get out of the market because you're nervous. But anyways, that's just a little take on Sofi. Let's see where it goes from here. But I still can't believe we were long at 14.05 off the sticky note, off everything. We really do like Sofi. It's just today, it seems to be pulling back right now. So we'll see. If we get back above, you know what? Let's call this trade. Back above like 15.75 or something like that, we'll go long on Sofi. But right now it's a falling sword. So let's not try to catch that one, Brendan.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll bring in Danielle Shea, VP of Options at Simpler Trading, to talk a little bit about Sofi, maybe. Danielle, good to see you, as always. Thanks
how's it going?
Fantastic. It's been an eventful day, I guess is the best way to put it. Lots to look at, lots to discuss. Let's jump right into a few things here. We have, it's earnings season, obviously, so the big names still to come, but we get the first of the higher volatility tech FANG names, if you want. Although I saw somebody call them MANG names now because it's Meta, not Facebook. So anyways, doesn't matter. Let's talk about Netflix. Tell us how to approach this from an options trading standpoint and how you're looking at Netflix tonight.
So when you're looking at Netflix, I just think it's so important as far as earnings are concerned because it kicks off the FANGs, right? And actually one of my colleagues, he calls it FANG Man because you got to add Microsoft in there too. So when you're looking at Netflix, it's so critical what this stock does on earnings because if this thing rolls over and tanks, it's going to bring down the rest of tech. So when you look at it and you think, okay, what could I do with this? It's one of the first FANG stocks to come out. You've got a $36 expected move. Let's see, the last 2-3 quarters, it gapped lower post earnings. So not very promising, right? And right now we're down on support at a $500 price point. I mean, for me, I think it would make more sense to sell calls on it because it has about a $40 expected move. I mean, you could do it out of the money, especially if you did it somewhere around 540. You're not going to get as much premium as you would at the money, but it's going to be a little bit higher probability. So for me, I mean, I think Netflix goes lower here.
Downside. Okay, we'll hold you to that. We'll see what happens tonight for Netflix, and we'll maybe revisit the next time you're with us. Airlines, a couple of the bigger ones out this morning, and aftermarket yesterday with AAL and UAL. I mean, it ends up being not much to see here as far as the actual move is concerned, but was there a trade there? And typically, with earnings season and the travel type of names, what are you looking for?
So typically in earnings, what I do in the options market is I look for tickers like UAL or AAL that have a lot of hype around them because you can sell the at the money options prior to earnings and buy them back the next day. Because a lot of the time, especially with the airlines, everybody's looking at it, talking about it. What about the Omicron? And so those are the kind of strategies you can utilize. And that would have worked today just because they didn't really move that much. So what I'm looking for here going forward are companies just like this, where they have high volatility because they're being talked about, they're being anticipated, and where you can come in and sell premium. The super wild ones like Amazon and Netflix are going to be a little bit crazy, but you can still do it on a variety of tickers.
Let's expand on that Omicron type of theme here and talk about this dip in general, because it's getting to a point where, I mean, the NASDAQ officially 10% plus to the downside off all-time highs now.
Yes.
A lot of people starting to talk about, okay, when is it going to be that time to maybe, test out the waters here and dip in a toe to see where we're at as far as putting on a larger position. I mean, talk us through here how you're going to approach maybe testing the waters when it comes to some of the growth stocks specifically and tech in general.
So, for me, I like to first reference the daily charts, the NASDAQ and the S&P. We're at some really key levels right now in both charts. In the S&P, we're at a symmetrical pullback that if you measure the pullback that we saw from August into September, and you start with where it started pulling back until now, it's just about the same amount. So usually that's a place where we'll find support in the S&P. Now in the NASDAQ's sitting right now on a very key level, on 15,000. It's sitting at the 200 simple. For me, the S&P has got to hold this area of support, the symmetry area that I mentioned, and the NASDAQ has got to hold 15,000. And what I have to see is the key FANG stocks trading higher. I've got to see Apple. I've got to see Microsoft. I've got to see Amazon, even though it's been a little bit shaky, AMD, NVIDIA. If those stocks cannot get it together, and if these levels cannot hold, we're just going to go lower.
And when it comes to what's going to happen next week, obviously a lot of people expecting the first interest rate hike to come in March, but the first Fed meeting and announcement, obviously, of the new year next week. I mean, we're down more than 10% now on the NASDAQ off the all-time highs. They haven't even started raising interest rates yet. Where do we go overall here?
I mean, I think that the Fed has got to be really careful, and I think they're aware of that, because just one incorrect phrasing when the market is this jittery could very, very easily send it lower. But I think that they are aware of that at this point. So, I mean, for me, what I'm doing right now is I'm sticking with, either short-term trades or mostly in cash, because even though the Fed meeting is somewhat priced in, because of the amount of panic that we're seeing, well, it's not, I wouldn't really classify it as panic yet. I guess I would classify it more as fear. That fear could very quickly shift to panic in any reason. So, and the Fed's a great catalyst for it to do so.
Hear from our audience for you, Danielle. I want to get to a couple anyways, if we can. Sure. First, the Microsoft ATVI deal that was announced early on in the week. Someone was basically just wondering, you're obviously not going to know this pre the announcement to put on some sort of a position, but is there an opportunity on the option side of things once a deal like that is announced?
So, for me, for Microsoft, and I will tell you I'm biased because Microsoft is like one of my favorite stocks to trade, and it's my favorite stock to own. So I say this loving Microsoft. But with an announcement like that, typically what's going to happen is the shares are probably going to trade lower, and they'll probably hang out and consolidate for a while, just because, it's an unknown and it's a big investment, and we don't know if the government's going to shut it down and all these other things. So usually what I do is I will look for key areas of support. In Microsoft, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, 290 is a great area of support. 300 would be a great area of support. I'm going to buy more shares, and I'm also going to be buying longer dated calls. You can buy, leaps a year out in advance, because it'll probably take a little while to shake off all the news right now. But I do think the Activision deal is going to be great for Microsoft. Love it. Great company. Definitely want to own it and definitely want to trade it to the long side.
Okay, the second one was regarding Sofi. Great points, by the way, for Microsoft there. Someone purchased, looks like February 18th, 2022 options. Sofi hosting the Super Bowl, or I guess the stadium. 3 of my options are in the money. Do I hold?
All right. So with something like that, we pretty much always get a buy the rumor, sell the news type of situation. So I haven't been following up with football lately, but is this a new thing? I'm guessing not, right? Everybody knows that Sofi is going to host the Super Bowl, and it's been a thing for a while.
Assume so as well. I mean, I'm going to bring in Sean here in a couple of seconds to maybe get a better answer for you on that. But I think it's SoFi Stadium that they're referring to. But their position in the money, at least.
So what I would do with that personally is great idea, great trade idea. I like it. It makes sense. But normally what happens in those situations, and I think the Super Bowl is February 13th or so, around there. And the reason why this is important is because what will generally happen is people will buy that rumor, and they'll say, hey, I think this thing is going to trade higher going into the Super Bowl. And then once it hits the Super Bowl, that's when it really trades lower. So you really have to be cognizant of that fact. As far as when you should take profits, you have to look at the technical levels as well, because when you're making a trade like that based off of news, and if they're in the money right now, you're in the money. I don't know if you know what strike they are. But typically with long options, I will look for about a 50 to 75% profit. If I get a 100% profit, that's amazing. I will scale out. And if you get 200%, just don't be greedy. So I don't know how much you're up right now, but I would be very cognizant of the fact that there's key resistance at $16.50 up to $17.30. And just be cognizant of the buy the rumor, sell the news type of situation, because those options can, lose value really quickly.
Hey, Danielle. Yeah, they're not hosting the Super Bowl in SoFi's office buildings or anything like that. It's actually, in Los Angeles this year in new SoFi Stadium. So I've been actually saying the same thing, and it's great to hear your advice there too. I think it's definitely, what do they say? Wait a second. Sell the rumor, buy the news, or other way around, buy the rumor, sell the news. That's what it is. I always screw that up. So, but I agree with you. I don't think you got to make or hold anything because of an event is happening at a certain location. So I'm with you on that one. All right, what I want to talk about quickly though was this market, and a lot of us right now are nervous about the NASDAQ. Obviously, we're touching I'm just looking at the cues here. We're touching the 200 period right now, Danielle, and you know, is there something that we should be doing? Like, I am long in my long-term account a hell of a lot of those names that you like. Microsoft, I'm gonna guess you like Google at some of these levels as well. So I'm all over big tech, and I like it. I actually don't mind it going forward. But to be honest with you, I am a little bit nervous, as are a lot of our viewers, in a potential, you know, we have next week the rate hikes coming, apparently 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100 this year expected, depending on who you're talking to. But, you know, what can we do in the option market maybe to sort of protect some of those big cap techs that we have? As far as, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to ask you right now, is it something that you are doing right now in your account to protect against the downside?
So right now, I mean, and I think it's really important that you differentiate between long-term and short-term, right? Because I mean, my long-term investments, same thing. I have AMD, I've got NVIDIA, I've got Microsoft, and you know, yeah, these things are pulling back, but I mean, the NASDAQ's only down 10%. And that's usually the time where I'm saying, okay, this is where I'm really trying to add more positions to my long-term portfolio between a 10 and 20% down move. And I do think that, I mean, if we fall below this 15,000 level, I mean, it can slide real hard, real fast. So I do think that people should be aware of that. But I think it depends on, you know, what is your long-term game plan? For me, you know, I'm looking for these type of corrections to continue adding in. And as far as like a way to protect your portfolio, I mean, for the tickers, if you have you know, larger positions on them, like I have quite a bit of Apple stock, you can go in there and you can sell covered calls on your stock on a weekly basis to try to just gain some income, especially if it's trading lower. You can go in and also, you know, buy puts and stuff like that. But I mean, for me, honestly, what I really do is I look for these key pullback zones. I look for areas of support, and I average in on a regular basis, because for me, like tech, it's not going anywhere. It might be shaky right now, but this is a long-term game.
You and I are way too much alike. So, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm averaging in, and I'm talking about, like, I just bought CRM, Salesforce, on these dips. Yeah, see there. Oh God, here we go. I got all that. So we bought CRM on dips. I bought Microsoft at 304. I picked up NVIDIA probably a little bit too early at 279. But I'm with you. I believe in all these names. I think moving forward, let's just hope for the best. I mean, fingers crossed on all of that. But the main point is that you're not really taking too much protection against those positions. You sound like you're pretty bullish at some of these levels. Is that incorrect? Like, I think a 200 period is a good time to buy. But one thing that scares me, Danielle, and this is the problem I think with myself as well, is that we say it's down 10%, okay? That's fine, but look at this chart. I mean, we were up on the year, what is it, 20-something%? Even more than that in the NASDAQ. So a 10% move down seems like it might be time to buy, but I can really foresee us like kind of hitting some of these levels even, and I hate to say it, but we could touch 20, maybe 25% lower. And even if we did, we're only going back to May or June right here on the screen. So that's what really does scare me a little bit. But I'm glad that, you know, a mind like yours is kind of buying these dips and not really panicking. And I think in the long term, and you already said it, the horizon is what tends to be super, super key. So I'll ask you one more time, can our viewers hit you up on Twitter and ask you questions? Because we only get you once a week.
Yes, of course. Trader Danielle on Twitter. That's where you can find me.
Good. Trader Danielle and myself following each other, and probably all of us as well. So hit us up on Twitter. We'll forward them over to Danielle. Thank you so much. I'll throw you back to Brendan. I don't know if I'm supposed to end it or not, but Brendan's much more professional than I. So I'll see you on Twitter, Danielle, and I look forward to talking with you every single week.
Yeah, you as well.
Ciao.
Danielle Shea, VP of Options at Simpler Trading. We know you're very busy. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you for the input. As always, we look forward to next week.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Have a great week. There we go. Danielle Shea, guys. Lots of great input, lots of great information, including the big one coming up tonight for Netflix.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, obviously, any questions that didn't get answered, make sure you pipe them in. Whether you sent it in the chat earlier, the super chat was great, or just tweet at Danielle or one of us, and we can make sure. And now that it's going to be a regular guest, we'll get those questions to her as well. While all this was happening, I'm going to recap you on a couple of things. One, Peloton went further down. So I moved my stop again. So it broke that halt price. I stopped at 26. I then put my trailing stop down at 25.5. Now if it breaks back above 25, I move my trail, but it's close to my target. I'm down in front of 24, trying to take 250 on this last part of the trade. And obviously this is not as big as what you're going to get on these halt trades, partly because you can take a little more size on the halt because it's that liquidity event. But certainly still moving, still having some crazy price action. I covered DATS. That 388 at 390, and then I got the long when it took the high of the day. I got one leg out, and then this is happening, right? So I got one leg out right in front of 415, and now it's pulling right back. The only level of consequence I can see on a pullback is right back to this 388, 390 level. So if DATS can bounce off that, then I'll try a little bit of a reload and then see if they can get to 420 and above. Also looking at the higher time frame, like we've broken the 50 period here. So you've had a couple of up days here. You're making a nice little breakout. That 380 area also coincides around with yesterday's high. So that's what it needs to hold. And if it can do that, then I'll load more. And otherwise, might have a failed break in our hands and I'm caught in the long side instead of being short the failed break. I got the long here on DATS.
Yeah. Oh, man. While we were doing that with Danielle there, we actually got into Sofi, which ripped up into the money for us. Not ripped up, but went into the money. We wanted that break there, and I guess I must have put the wrong, I put an older price in there because, like I said, we were just talking with her, which is fine. And we got a price of 80 when we should really be at 76, but that's just whatever that is. It doesn't really matter. Picking the difference there. But we are averaging in. It comes down to VWAP. We're going to try to give this to like a 1560 break, but there SoFi comes right back up. So this might be an opportunity right now to sort of like reload this position back through and get some out because that was a good move to the upside there on SoFi. We'll see if we can. We're long at 78, but we have too many shares now. So if it can get back up, we just reloaded at 65. Let's start to take a little bit out as SoFi right now. Coming back in just a little bit, and I just don't like it at this level, especially the NASDAQ's about to turn red right now. So you don't want to be obviously caught in something as the market turns as drastic as it was, especially such an aggressive name here like a SoFi. So we're going to get out if it breaks back below 60. Hey, man, we're giving a lot of money back here on this trade, but SoFi was a good one for us today. It's just this market right now is not holding up, period. It is just continuing to go. Like, this is a 1 minute chart. There's really no relief here. Like, you might have had relief right at 1 o'clock, a little bit of an opportunity to get out if you questioned your trading. But other than that, this is choppy. No real moves back. Like, a move back would be back here. 15, there it goes. Like, it's ticking lower. 15,150 is a move back. But right now, yeah, everything getting clocked to the downside here. It's a very, very ugly afternoon once again, and that sucks.
Yeah, and it's like I just might have got tricked into that reloading on DATS here. So my price, you see, it went from 5.5. Now my price is actually 2.5, not 3. But it just kind of held at 95 and came back to 4. So I got some shares at 4, and now it's now it's just broke that 390. So I'm out of that. But it's like I'm just holding on to the things that I have short that are working. I just canceled a bid on Peloton and then moved my stop again because the market's flushing on Virgin Galactic. This one I will get out of. Because just look at the pre-market bottom at 9:15. Like, this was a breakout at 9:30. So now that it's in this channel, it's going to go into this channel. I'm going to try and get out in the middle of it. But if it tries to break back out, I'm just going to get out of this. I think this was, it was fortunate to be able to catch this. It never quite got to 10, but I took the short anyways because I figured I'll just keep, it's 980. I'll probably work it all the way into $10. And then just the market turned, right? So usually I'll hold the VWAP, but once all the higher valuation or these beat up names, once they started rolling over, it was just hang on to the trade. Don't get out at VWAP. It's like bank error in your favor. I'm taking a setup that I usually like at that time of day, which I would cover at VWAP and say to myself, the market's accelerating down. These types of names are accelerating down. You just have to be able to adjust on the fly, which you can do when you're in the money. If it's against you, you hold to your rules a lot of times, right? But it's going to end up working here. And then, like I said on Peloton, like it just started to accelerate. So again, like velocity, and if you're watching the tape, it's kind of a difficult concept. I mean, it seems really simple to talk about velocity on the tape, but as this started to break 24.5, it just started picking up again. Like the volume was getting more rapid, so I canceled my bid in front of 24. It didn't move. I said I'd move my stop. I have not quite moved it yet. I'm gonna push it to like 24, maybe 65 or 70, something in this range, just to make sure I have a good trail on. That'll be about $2 in the money, and then see how far I can hold it. Because if it breaks that halt down price, this 24, I don't know where Peloton's going. And if you're in the money, it's like, why not find out here? Because we're getting to 15,000 on the NASDAQ, and I'm asking myself, Peloton with the bad news today. If I could be sitting in a short in literally Virgin Galactic and Peloton, and I wish I had a firm, and we're hitting 15,000 on the NASDAQ, like that's a pretty good position to be in, so might as well see how far they can ride.
Oh, man. And yeah, we're just about to get out of this SoFi trade as it just wants to keep going down. I should have just been smart and saved myself a bit of money and took it out when I said I would at 60, but we're holding on to this. I'm just going to give it to 50. There's some size here. It's probably, not probably, it looks like it's going to break it. I mean, obviously, SoFi just keeps on going to the downside, but we took that trade right there at our VWAP. That's really the trade that we wanted, and that's why we're stuck here in trouble. So, you can see the average price is 78 on this name. So we're going to see where I wish it was 68. That'd be nice. That take rate there was 66. Here it comes. We're testing this 50 level. We can't hold things until our grave, right? And so Neil just talked about that with Peloton. These things can really, really start to ramp up. And I mean, I'm hoping we can get back up to the upside. Would love to take some out if there is some pressure spots here where maybe we can get some out. But for right now, it looks like we're going to be stuck here with SoFi, just kind of like at the mercy of this stock. So if it breaks out through 1550 to the downside, then we're into that, and that is that. We're actually pretty lucky because we were trying to go long also on Lucid, and that never, oops, that's still the wrong chart. Oh, no, that is a 1 minute chart. Okay, yeah, I can't believe everything right now just to the downside. So we're gonna just switch it up, man. Tomorrow's game plan, guys, go short at this time. What happened? Oh, Tesla broke 1,000?
No, it hasn't broken 1,000, but it's at, wait a minute, it broke, I guess it broke earlier today? Yeah, it broke earlier.
Must have, yeah.
Oh, the pre-market, yeah, that's right. In the pre-market, there were wicks lower. Like I saw my low a day read 995, and I'm like, no, that was a pre-market BS print. But 1,000 is pretty much right here, right now. This is a hard thing to step in front of, but I mean, it's 1,000, so I'll see if I can get on the bid here. I'll probably be so cheap, I'll try to get literally 1,001, and then just put my stop in. And if we can bounce, it is also 1,500 on the 15,000 on the NASDAQ. If it was 1,500 on the NASDAQ, that's a wow. Let's not even talk about that. But if I can get ones here, I know it just spiked down. It got to like 0150, I think. I'm sitting here on the bid right in front of 1,001, and then just have a quick little stop, tight stop trade. But in terms of catching a falling sword, like I don't want to hold that to the grave. If it breaks 1,000, I just want out. Like I'm not gonna try to be a hero about it. It's just, put the stop through and see if we can't get out. Of course, a lot of times when you try that, there's a wick down, right? It doesn't quite get to the bid at 1,001 and then starts running away from it. So if it were to push back to 0405, like make a significant bounce, I don't want it the second time. Like that's good the first time. As a matter of fact, like, to be honest with you, like the way this market's moving, I think you have to bounce off 15,000 first. Either I just got that first move down when it does the capitulation flush and you get that one wick down and it got to 1,001 and change. Either you're in that long and you're able to already scalp out a couple of dollars. Otherwise, let me just wait till 15,000. I mean, if it bounces off that level, there's going to be trades to be had there. And when I talk about every single day shorting a firm, I was in a firm. I don't understand why I'm not still, canceled some bids on Space to make sure I'm still in that one and keep canceling my bids on Peloton and moving a trail. But a firm, I was just like, let's run to the hills to get out of this at VWAP. Well, now it's starting to roll over as well. It's turned green to red. And a lot of these, I guess, higher valuation beat up names. Shopify, it's literally flat. Like Shopify was getting a bounce as well this morning. That just goes flat below 13. And like we just talked about Tesla 1,000. There's a few names holding up, but really a lot of these ones that I try to look at. If you look for relative strength, Palantir's still up 2%, but it's still at.
It is?
Yeah, it is, but it's given a bunch back. I'm not saying it's not pulled back. It's still up 2% because it had a gap up to go with it, but they're getting right back into these lows. Like that's similar to if I was short this, I'd be thinking about getting out like I am in Virgin Galactic, but no need to jump in front of the sword there. I could have on Tesla, maybe it would work out, but I'm not going to. And Peloton, yeah, it just keeps on falling. It just broke 24, so I'm going to keep going with the exercise. If it holds below 24 for any period of time, I guess I'm now looking at 23 and I'll adjust my stop. But that could have just been a failed break because it got to like 95 and then sort of slammed right back to the upside. Of course, you kidding me, Neil? I actually left my stop assuming I would go long in Tesla. Right, so I assumed I would go long in Tesla and left my stop in there, and now I'm going to essentially pay like probably $1 or so on that trade, just because. And that's what you got to do. Like I get in and I get out. So what my intention was, and I put my stop in before I got into the trade, was to go long in front, and if 1,000 breaks, I'm just going to have a stop. So I get triggered into a short. Now look, Tesla could drop to 990, and I could have just lost $1. Instead of making 10. But the truth of the matter is I didn't actually want to go short Tesla. What I wanted to do was go long in front and stop out if it broke that level. But of course, you make a keystroke error. I think the best remedy you can always do is to cover it. Because here's the thing. Like imagine Tesla falls to like 975 and it's like, oh my goodness, Tesla's now my #1 stock in the day. Guess what? Then the next time I make a keystroke error and get a position I don't want, I'm gonna think about how well Tesla worked out and I'm just be like, I'm gonna hold this and it's gonna work out for me. No, you didn't want it. So just get out of it. So now I'm looking, of course now it's gonna go down, but that's par for the course. I'm not going to be too angry about it. I was meaning to just go over to Peloton and adjust my stop, so I will go back and do that because that's what I was going to do next. It's now holding below 24, so I'm tightening this up the further it goes down here because it's snapped back at around these price levels before. So if it's going to catch a bid and bounce, I got to feel like it's around here. So the further it goes down, the tighter my trail is going to get on Peloton.
Yeah, I'm actually, so we'll beat ourselves up again. What was a good stock for us all of a sudden is not. Where's that POS thing? Here it is, right there. Bang, bang, bang. That's actually like Sofi beating me up right now as we get out. So I'm still holding. You're going to see me in it right now, but we're not. Like we're just in a very, very small piece here of Peloton, of Sofi. Just trying to watch it. Like this is, I do this often where it allows me sort of to watch as the sort of the P&L goes up and down here as I hold a small piece, just to see like where we're at with this stock. So 1530 downside. I'm going to watch this. I have a target in mind right back down here where we sort of dipped down our first mistake trade. I think you can probably reload Sofi. I don't know if this stock is going to continue to go to the downside. I'm not super nervous about that happening, but we obviously can see that. It's been getting hit, and with the NASDAQ now turning red, yeah, Sofi is going to be in a little bit of a trouble spot here. Needless to say, back down. So we're going to watch out here as it just keeps on going. You know, to defend a level at these prices, I don't. You know, SoFi's already up 12%. And just like when Neil said, like, Palantir's still positive, I was like, huh? Because, yeah, it just feels like a lot of these names continue to get absolutely crushed here. So let's wait to see if we could do something. But right now, SoFi just continues to make a move down. I do want to punch this long. I feel at some point, people will say, oh, my God, this is down $1.20 from its highs. Maybe it's time to come back and buy. It's $3.16 right now. Shout out to Austin and all my WWE fans. Oh. But, wow, this market, like, some stocks that were rocking today down now, right? Like AMD, check out how much this name's getting plastered right now, down to 124. AMD getting railroaded here today. So this name, just look at this. Like, look at this drop in the last minute. Like, I mean, the last minute, sure, but look at the last half hour. 128, guys, 124. I was sort of hoping that Miss Shea there was going to give me some advice on some of this, and she just said buy more. So we'll see what happens here as it goes. But wow, AMD also getting cracked. We're going to have to find some levels.
So, I mean, you're going to see me down to just that APM stock, which I've been holding pretty much all day long. I know it's in the money, but that's getting a little frustrating. I just got out of both Virgin Galactic. I'll do this power up thing because, you know, you sort of, that was, I say it was bank error in my favor with Virgin Galactic, but I also had to cancel my bids and switch gears. It goes right into that cluster. And then we got to that 15,000 on the NASDAQ. The slightest bounce, I'm like, I'm just going to get out, take the profit and run. It was essentially, it was 980, but really it's that $10 area on Virgin Galactic that we got out of. And then I talked about having a trail on Peloton and then tightening it up the whole way. And look, if, you know, okay, hold it to the close, Peloton could continue to flush in. It's when we're flat at the end of the day, and anytime I'm making a structured trade, and maybe it's the wrong decision, I have no idea, but you know, if I'm making a trade, if I'm trading off of VWAP or one of those retracements, I usually have a target in mind, and especially when a stock is halted multiple times, You had the market at an obvious bottom. The more this started to accelerate, I'm just like, look, that's just also more of a gap that it could fill. And there's any way I'm not ending the day shorting off a level like this and then giving up like $2 or $3 on the way back. So this is a move that we take advantage of the news. You can trade it. I wish I'd got the long off the bottom. That's about the only thing missing here. I'm glad that Sean got it on purpose. I mean, Trader Pratt had a great long off the bottom, but it was by accident. It worked out, but he got out of it right away for prop. But I think he
I'm not sure.
I thought he won on the trade, but we'll find out. But either way, it was a great long off the bottom. That's the one thing I wasn't able to capture, and that's a tricky trade to get, right? Like, oh, so he said he took a penny on it, which.
Yeah, you know what? It's because when it reopened.
Right, so when we opened, it slammed to the downside and then just, rushed up. I got trailed out of my short at that moment, but Peloton could head further. But at 1,500 bounces on the NASDAQ, I could really see Peloton catching a bit of a bounce. And in a weird note, this is obviously a coincidence, but Peloton comes out of the NSX tomorrow. So it's, I think there's like a couple million shares to be sold off by close tomorrow. Just weird timing for that, obviously. There's no way.
It just seems silly now. Like, it's like 3 million shares like to be sold or something out of the NASDAQ 100.
It just did 87 million.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's almost worse for the action tomorrow because we've seen the volume go through. But wow, at day's low again, Peloton. Those of you that called that, congratulations, because wow, I was like out of my long there, which was incredible. That would have been a great reload short off of that death cross right there. This is not a death cross, but just what I'm talking about. That is VWAP. So this is my death cross right here, a 1 minute crossing VWAP. So you're never gonna hear that anywhere else, but there it was right there, death cross for us. Okay, we might as well be jumping off. Let's do that again because I was talking to you. I think we need a graphic to go with that, don't we? But I don't want. I don't want a violent graphic. That's the thing, right? It's like. It's
well, actually, for a second, because if you remember the movie. Yeah. In that scene, I hate to spoil it for everybody.
Oh, he's behind.
But Al Pacino, he's not holding a weapon in that scene. No,
right,
he's not.
Yeah, he's behind. He's trying to get out.
It's legend. First of all, if you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie. It's unbelievable. It's a fantastic film, Carlito's Way. But that's right. I think you could kind of have a graphic from it. I don't know about the copyright.
We'll figure it out.
Something from the movie. So good move there. We actually just bounced off of 15,000 on the NASDAQ, and of course that means Tesla's trying to make a bounce here off of 1,000. It's only at 1,003, but hopefully that's a bit of a bottom. We can get at least a little bit of a pullback late in the market here. Was that
It was Brendan, yeah.
Okay.
Xilinx AMD deal on course to get done by Chinese regulators, or approved by Chinese regulators. That's according to Deal Reporter saying that, guys. So pretty volatile here for XLNX and AMD.
That's probably why it's tanking. No, I know it's good news, but isn't it? There is some sort of a stock deal in this too, isn't there?
It's not all cash.
I don't think it's all cash, but maybe Brendan will come up with that news right now. But that's leading to this. That was 7 minutes ago. So yeah, it's helping the move down. Obviously the NASDAQ is as well. I believe there's some shares involved, which is going to dilute shares. But again, taking over Xilinx is absolutely monstrous. So that's a good one. Again, like a day saver, honestly, like I cannot believe Sofi today, and it's just that's a day saver right there, man. We put on the same shares that we had here, and we're not going to make the same profit that we did on this dump, right? We could, but the problem is for me, I get out too fast. It just goes up to 30 there on that big move up. Like we just reloaded when we did that graphic, and then I'm going to take some more out here at 23 if I can.
Just broke again. So much for that.
AMD did?
No, we just broke 15,000 again. So that bounce.
This is a problem right now,
that
man.
Bounce, what was that, like a minute ago?
A joke ago? I don't know.
So, okay, we're basically barcoding off of this level, but that 15,000, it also corresponds. Like we actually tested this. We tested this overnight as well, or I guess in the evening as well, that 15,000 level. It's a major, major support level. The other thing too is, do I have I quickly am going to try and pull the cues up for you. I know Danielle mentioned this, but let's visually show you as well. This is a 200 period on the cues. Like we're right here. It's not just 15,000. Like we're 200 period moving average as well. It's that 10% correction level. So we caught a bounce this morning, I think, because a lot of people wanted to start to buy when good things that you want hit 10%. If you're trading the index, you step into it and you want to buy it. So I think that's why we got the first bounce, but a huge and key level that you want to see held, not just psychologically, but technically it's big. And if we start breaking here, that's where you might want to get a little bit patient. Like the first thing, when we tested 15,000 there, the first thing I did the Tesla orders was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was go right over to AMAT, which I was waiting a couple of days after the ASML earnings and was like, is it at the 200 yet? It's not, it's at 139. So I was like, okay, but there's a decent chance, as long as we're testing this, I'm probably going to start getting my add back into this as we're about to hit that 200 period. So you're getting some key levels, understand what are the names that I'm looking to either add back to, buy back into, whether it's the index, and then just sort of pick your spots, right? So anticipate them, know that we're here right now, and then sort of find these levels to be able to get into. And with only 30 minutes to go, I had to get out of this 8 p.m.
This is
thing.
so stupid.
8 p.m. is not going. And I'll tell you, usually small caps don't care about the market, and they really don't, overall moves. But the snapback in DATS, that was a pretty good level. I'm not saying it has to work, but it was breaking out. It had gotten above its 50 period. It made a couple of nice moves there. Consolidation, hold VWAP, hold that 375, break that 390 eventually, and then take out the top. And it could only go 8 or 10 cents. And now look how sharply it's pulling back. So it just kind of feels like even something like this, which normally I feel like would have had some better momentum going in there, just couldn't get going, and it's a bit of a disappointment. So, color me disappointed in what's going on in that chat. I got out of it, obviously. I'm not gonna fight the trend, even though I thought it was in the midst of a break. And of course, I missed the rollover short, but you're not gonna catch every single trade. I was in that long and looking for a reload, so I'm probably not gonna be reversing too quickly on a move like that. But even DATS can't seem to hold up.
All right, here we go. The market just took out 15,000 there. I know you mentioned that, but Sofi, I guess it's half of a day changer as we get out of half up here on that rip. Couldn't believe it ripped up like that, obviously on nothing with the NASDAQ. So, and now Sofi is going to break through 15. We're just holding this for that 15 break. I'm not even going to reload this. There's no point. It's either break through 15 and that's it. So you can see there's some size there at 15. Here it comes. Watch this. I'm already hands off. I've already got the order in. I mean, I hope I have the order in. Yep, I do. So we already have the order in to crack through. If this breaks through 15, we're gone on that one. So we're going to have to wait to see what happens. Like I said, we gave everything back on Sofi, in honesty. We only took a little bit of trades. I mean, we took a good position. It's not that. It's just we really thought that we had something here at VWAP. We like to trade names that are up, and it's very, very simple. But today, we didn't foresee the NASDAQ going from up 2% to now down 0.5% and trying to break now. So there goes Sofi, and there we go. Now we're out, breaking through 15 out there. So yeah, we'll go downward as the bubble bursting right now in Sofi. Remember what we said? A lot of traders probably flat on their positions in Sofi today after a big move back up right into these levels right here. So I feel like there's a lot of traders that maybe were caught, and that's why it kind of makes sense that you are getting this pullback. But even after I see this and after I've lost my day, I still want to go long on this name, which is just not good. So we're going to have to find something to go short now. I always feel like we're going to miss the bottoms, but I mean, the bottoms haven't been in today. So
I got to quickly say, because someone asked in the chat, they're trying to figure out the Xilinx thing.
Yep.
It's specifically, and usually I have a spreadsheet for this, which I got to open that back up.
Brendan hit it back with us.
It's 1.7234 shares.
Yeah, it's an all-stock deal.
Yeah, it's all stock, 1.7234. And then another question in the chat was, why is Nikola going down? So the short answer is the market's going down. But I think the bigger answer would be, if you're not making money, on a day today where the index is falling, you have the Apples, you have your Nvidias, AMDs, even companies that are making money are going to the downside. But the companies that are not even at that point yet, they're just going to be under a tremendous amount of pressure. And remember, if you've been watching along here, Nikola had been finding major support at $9. Major support. Look at Nikola bouncing off $9 back in April, getting to 20, then bouncing off 9, getting to 12, bouncing off 9, getting up to $15, bouncing off 9, getting to 12, getting to 11 recently, and then you just broke that support here. So, I mean, I'm sitting here. It's it breaks support, then tries to get there today, rolls over, support turns into resistance, then the market starts crashing, and these high-value names start giving back. First of all, I'm embarrassed that I wasn't looking for a Nikola short off that 9 level. How many times did we talk about the Nikola support, and when it gets broken and then turns into resistance, I'm not even short in front of it. So maybe it bounces 10% and there's a chance to be able to trade this. But yeah, that's why it's heading to the downside. And I could pull up any name. It doesn't, whether it's Nikola, I haven't looked at Workhorse today, but I'm going to assume that it's down. only down 4%, but yeah, so, I mean, there's your candle in the 15-minute and workhorse, breaking major support that had been bouncing off of a couple of days and heading lower into the close. So I don't think there's much of anything that's going to be immune. I mean, I'm going to quickly pull up, and here's the thing, like, here's your litmus test. Procter is a safe place to be, and you'll hear me always talk about it. I love Procter. They just had their earnings. It was a blowout. You see a nice move to the upside again today. Well, guess what just broke VWAP? I know it's not falling like a rock, but it just broke VWAP and started giving back, and it was holding up super well. So if Procter turned red today, I know it's only up 0.5%. It's not going to move 10% in a day. 5% is a great move for Procter. It's not going to do that. But even this is starting to come back, and that's what happens when you break key levels. You know, even names like this are going to start to turn around. So I mean, I'm sure there's something. We always look for relative strength. I was just checking on my quote board trying to find something. I mean, Procter's technically still up on the day, but it's not immune to what's happening here. The banks are holding up, I guess.
Are they? I mean, I bought Goldman Sachs yesterday. What the hell is Goldman Sachs at today? It was up to like 350.
Well, Morgan's back to like 101.
So Goldman did get up to 357. We bought some 350s yesterday. Very impressive that's holding up. Screw you, everything. Right now, okay. Neo, well, I was doing the same thing as you. You just mentioned there, looking at your quote board. We were doing the same thing here, and we found Neo. And I was just like, you know what? Let's try a long here off these bottoms. You're right back into these areas of support here for Neo. It came right back into day's low, basically, obviously, right now. So we already know that this name can go. So instead of fighting SoFi, which is probably like ripping up right now, like, not really good. Okay. So again, leave that and go over to something else. And right now we're cashing in on NIO to the upside. So we're long at, what were we long at? 44. We just took these out at 49 and 50, but we're still into 80% of this trade. So yikes, if this goes back down. 10 cents worth of risk for me on this trade. What's up, Ms. V?
Hey guys, just 30 minutes left until the end of this trading day. It's a busy day indeed. And here I am to remind you, please like this video. We have only 500 likes. Guys, it's very bad. We need at least 1K because 3,700 people watching us. So each of you have the like button, I'm pretty sure. So please support the community. Go long on the like button. And also, it's still 30 minutes. And if you guys want to make some poll, write in the chat and maybe we can do something fun. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I mean, obviously, every single day I'm like, hey, we're gonna hold the gains and we're gonna close positive at least once, but obviously not. Like I was just looking around my board, ASML just popped out. I mean, it's at the lows right now. It's still up again, technically up on the day, up 2%, but it's right off of those lows. And like I said, AMAT, that's actually one that I'm starting to think, well, obviously I'm talking about I got a stink bid. Maybe I'll get filled in the long term, but it's at a low of 141 here. And again, that 200 period is starting to loom, but 140 is there before. And if you look at the last time it got here, this isn't a 140 print. This is actually 140, like 75 that it bottomed out at. So it's getting pretty close to, I might just want to, with 30 minutes to go, heck, I mean, to me, that's like 75 cents worth risk. You can give it a bit more if you wanted to give it to 140. But, you know, bottom picking, I don't know what else there is to do because it's difficult to look at a short at these levels. And by the way, with the market still below 15,000, Tesla managed to bounce back and is at 1,005. So as I say that, I just popped on the bid here at 50s. That's actually 141.49. You know, that's not above 50 level, but at that 50 level. So I'm going to get on the bid here above 50 this time and get into some AMAT, just noticing it makes a bounce. I look back, so the 200 period was there, but the last wick down around this price area managed to hold a 141, and it just bounced off a 141 bottom. So I'll take this trade. If it makes a fresh low, okay, then obviously it was wrong. I don't want to die in the sword here. Clearly, I could have just held on to maybe some of the shorts that we had. I wish I had in a firm, but you know what? I didn't. So now I'm trying to pick a bottom here in AMAT.
Yeah, it looks like we got a good one finally, man. We just took some 54s out here, so we got 10 cents, like a good one. Hopefully Neo continues to run up, man, but we did have, you know, an oversized position like always when we get peed off, but there it goes up to the upside, so we take a little bit off. Neo's now going to be one of my #1 stocks on the day, but it doesn't really matter. Hopefully this can climb back up. We're going to check out on some of the balances coming out soon, but I'm figuring today they're not going to be nice. Today's just been a really nasty day to the downside. I mean, if you've been hiding in like XLE, I think that's been pretty safe, man, as oil continues to make a march to the north side here. Barrel of oil today, right now, $86.90 a barrel. I mean, just go to your pump and you'll be able to see what's going on with oil prices right now. As I think gasoline, period, as NEO just tanks right back down on this NASDAQ move. Gas prices at like huge highs right now, at least it is in Ontario and probably in your state or province as well, or wherever you are right now. And a lot of that problem is going to be Ukraine-Russia tensions that are adding to this oil thing as well. Microsoft, this is another spot. I can't just keep going long on everything. Like a lot of these names are just so far down right now. Like look at Microsoft, like just spitting to the downside. Like it's still up on the day, but wow, back down to 304.50. I mean, we may just have to take this, but like our NEO trade, you know, rips up into the money for us and then just comes right back. Like we were just at 54, right? A little bit of a move down in the market, and these stocks are just getting cranked lower. So very, very nervous. Even HUT 8. HUT was up huge today, right? HUT was up 8-9%, up to 670, and that's falling like a rock as crypto's kind of holding up. Bitcoin 42.6, Ethereum 31.9. So, you know, still making some moves in the crypto space, but right now HUT 8 even coming back. There was that RHDM, I believe it was, on the NASDAQ. Did that even open today?
It did, but that was so low volume.
RDHM. I just want to see what it, no, it didn't open up.
It was also that BRFH, that halt stock was going crazy. There's another halt here, but someone just mentioned auto was halted.
RHDM, yeah.
But this is even less volume than the last one we talked about. This is 65,000 shares on the day, so hard pass. It's just, there's no, like the liquidity is so low. If you're wrong and miss one stop, and I wish I remembered the name, but because it was live. Like there was one time that if you were watching the morning show, you might have seen me in a trade trading these halt levels and miss a stop one time and get caught in a halt the wrong way in a low liquidity name. And you go from being able to control your risk to like what, 10, 20% of your loss limit or whatever you're expecting to just multiples of that. Like I remember, I think my stop was I was trying to lose no more than 50 cents in the trade and lost like $4 or something like that. It's just when these things are, and the less liquid it is, the crazier that problem becomes. So I don't try to trade these ones like auto. If it starts doing better volume and there's more liquidity, then that's fine. You can jump into it at that point. Like I said, I mean, I wish I held on to some of the shorts. I jumped into AMAT. It's still testing the low. So, you know, I'm giving it a little room past that 141 because it got to that 140, 75-ish area. So I'll give it a small break to the bottom. But I really don't plan on losing more than $1 on this trade. You know, thankfully Peloton's been great and there's been some other opportunities. But, you know, picking the bottom here at a level I like, this kind of momentum at the end of the day, you're kind of just thinking the market's going to turn. And the truth of the matter is that's the kind of thing that could be like a late day after the imbalances kind of thing anyways. And we still have 15 minutes. It seems like we're flying by here, but we have 15 minutes till the imbalances come out. And I go back to the well. And I think one of the reasons why it's important to do this, I think, and I wish my trades showing up on the firm, they're not. I'd say like 8 of every 10 days, I've been trying to find an Affirm short actively in the afternoon. And the one time there's news and I'm sitting in short at the top when the market starts rolling over and I don't hold the trade. Like I'm usually trying to find an excuse to get short this thing in the afternoon. And today it's like I'm sitting there covering it. I'm going to do, where's the face slap one? I'll hit It's a Trap.
It's a trap.
And that's what it was, trying to find a bottom in Affirm. Or it could be this, trying to find a bottom in Affirm, or not Affirm, in AMAT, because you jump in there, and it just broke that low, so I'm just throwing away that, you know, like 80 or 90 cents or whatever it ended up being. And, you know, I'm not saying it was a horrible thing to do. The level looks good on the chart, and maybe at a different time of day under different circumstances, but I did also take that like after, and of course now it breaks that 75 area, so it's like, okay, can I scalp a short? Now this, I think you're going to that 140 level. Like I don't mind taking a short down here, but either you're running out of time for this trade to go. But you have the 200 period right here, which I don't think is breaking. You have 140, which is even, which I don't think is breaking. And that's the tricky part about taking a short at the bottom, is if you only think you have 50 to 60 cents worth of upside, then about half that is what I want to risk, which means if it breaks 141 back up, I'm getting out of it. But what can you do? Like you find a key level, it's like either you're willing to short it, or at this point I almost don't want to be trading it.
Wow. Okay, so we did it, man. We're short Microsoft, and I feel horrible about it, but what choice do I have, really?
You do.
Microsoft there just goes the other way. I don't feel horrible about it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Long-term position or not, Microsoft right back. And I was just talking about this level with Daniel Shea. I was like, yeah, I recently bought 304s on Microsoft. How smart am I? Yay, it's at 311. Yeah, is it? It's back down to 304 right now, 02. We just took it a bit out there. We're getting out of this trade as it comes down. We did take some shares there, so happy to take this print, and now we can hold the rest, man. We still have 40% of this position, and we'll see where we go to the downside right now, but it's still continuing to puke, so I don't see much here today. The market is gone. We'll see what happens on the imbalance. I mocked the 15,000, but that's gone right now, so we'll see what happens here as Microsoft just continues to go to the south side, and yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's like I'm sitting there, and it's like I'm fighting a long trade on AMAT, and then I could have just shorted it off that same price area, like that 140, 141 half. I get into the short when it breaks that level on the daily, and like the first level scalp, the 1-to-1 risk level, that hits in a matter of like less than a minute. So that's the thing about being with the trend. Like even if the rest of this trade doesn't work out, when you're with the trend, it's just so much easier. And instead of sitting there like fighting it and trying to figure out, okay, well, is this a bottom here or there? Like, can I get a better price? Forget about it. And I bet you I'm going to go back over to Peloton. Oh, no, never mind. I was about to say, I bet you I'm going to go back over to Peloton and it's broken and below 24 again and made a fresh low. But no, it looks like the trail out at 24 for now is held. Of course, they had the big news, but probably the reason why Peloton is not continuing to flush with the market going down, because it's down 25%. And it's already it's already had a gigantic move. Twice it's had gigantic moves, so it might be running out of steam to the downside. And you're seeing acceleration in other names in the markets here. It was trying to catch a bounce there. Even Tesla just reclaimed 1,000 and to the downside. Like that looked like it was a bounce, fail break at 1,000. It's going to get back up into this range here, maybe even VWAP. I've seen that before. No moss on Tesla apparently.
Tesla's on my buy list there. We already know that about 9 bills, so maybe we'll get that tomorrow as wow. The meltdown continues. I was going to say manic
900
Monday,
even?
but what?
900 even tomorrow?
Yeah, 900 even tomorrow. Aren't we at 1,000 right now?
Well, I mean, I guess it could happen.
I mean, look, let's just.
It's Friday. I mean, it could happen.
I mean, Neil, we just dropped, man. I mean, we just dropped $50 there. And I know that's going to be a lot, but we still don't have the close coming through yet. So we'll see. Hopefully the close will be the savior that we're all waiting for, and we'll be able to battle this back down in. So hopefully we hold some of these bottoms on Tesla. Look, I actually don't think 900 is coming tomorrow.
I'd say like 940.
Yeah.
940, 950. I could see it going there at the worst. 5%, 6%.
Yeah, I think we're pretty similar on where we think this is going to go from here. But I mean, I don't, it's a bloodbath today. And I'm kind of, it's not often that we're at a loss for words. And it's only because of the pullback that the NASDAQ has had here. And it's just a complete melt. I mean, the right word is meltdown.
Look at Amazon. Like, you don't see Amazon move like this. Like, Amazon will grind down. Like, don't get me wrong. But, like, when accelerating into the close like that, it's a function of what the levels it broke over there in the NASDAQ. Like, that's the key thing. Like, I bet you pull up any of the big names are going to probably look very, very similar. But, like we said, get out the shopping list, think about what you like. And I opened the show, and thank goodness I did, where I'm like, I'm not defending Alibaba at 132. So, like, that was a level that worked in the morning. It actually gave you 2 more cracks at it. Of course, Peloton was going crazy and a lot of other things were moving. But you get that flush down, and there's no point defending it. You could have had small scalp trades, fair enough. That auto stock, which I said no volume, I'm going to sit it out. Well, of course, that's still going, right? Like, so there's your long on the stock that had done like a few, tens of thousands of shares, and to me had all the risk in the world, has now done 1 million shares and up 29%. So good look. And whoever put in auto, I hope you had the long, because AutoWeb is your bull stock of the day going into the close. I can't see anything else that's breaking out, so it's got to be this one. I'm still not going to be trading it. I wouldn't pay for shorts this late, even if I thought there was a great short to be had, because there's not necessarily enough time for it to work. And I'd probably already have to be in it for it to be good, because it already halted twice to the upside.
All right, you know what? Let's just, so we're just going to get out. So we're out of Microsoft. It was a good win for us. We just got out for flat as it came all the way back up, but that was 20%. We were holding for that, amazing move down that we thought was going to happen, and which did. So we're able to make some money on Microsoft. So,
oh my God.
Can't believe I shorted Sofi and it worked. So that's an oh my God situation. All right, Sofi. Let's do this. Right now, it looks like we're trying to bounce a little bit here. So I'm thinking, I mean, I'm just, you may see me look up and down and around all the time here, but we'll just see, because I'm trying to find, different charts, different sources, different things here to look at some different levels. But right now, SoFi, I can't really do anything until we break 15, and I still feel like I don't want to pay up for that kind of a move. AMD's trying to find a base. I don't mind a 123 break on AMD. I think that could be something that we take, especially if this market is going to be a buy here into the close. I don't know. I'm just wondering if there is some relief rally coming in at about a minus 1% here on the NASDAQ. So let's see if we can get a bid on some of these names. But for me, AMD, and I'm just looking at 23 because we stopped there at 123. So, to take $1 worth of risk, probably worth it. You get a little bit more excitement back up to the upside. So I'm thinking a 123 might be a good little level there. Let's just check back on NEO. Where are we? So the same level that we got out at. So not much happening right now, but I feel like there is maybe a bottom that just got made there, because finally a little bit of a move up, but it could easily be, Neil, a trap. So let's go back over to Brendan and see if we get trapped on something else.
Yeah, I thought you guys mentioned this, but my apologies. Yeah, this auto thing is Tesla related. So they're offering a Model 3 subscription through their website and software. So Auto is a software company that you can purchase vehicles with. So autonomy coming from Auto on the Tesla Model 3, apparently.
So here's the thing, like all the stuff that I said about auto, like not being a good trade or not being a good opportunity, throw it out the window. I was dead wrong about that, 100% dead wrong. Like that kind of a piece of news for a stock that, look, this is not, I don't know, like if I showed you the chart of that APM from this morning on the daily, you'd see a different picture for a cheaply priced name. It's a different story when you pull up the daily chart of auto. Since 2020, this is actually pretty stable, made some successful, I guess, bounces, but holding pretty good support. So this is not like a garbage, I hate that term, but it's true. Like it's not a garbage chart. And when you get a bump up like that, sure, it wasn't trading, but legitimate news is going to create volume. So it halts up, limit up. And then there's not obvious levels once it got to that first halt price, but I can quickly show you. Like it goes here and halts at like 356, opens back up at 360. Any guesses at when it tried to push back down, at what price level it held? $3.50. So it opens up at 360, holds literally 350. So if you put a stop at 350. Below 350, you do not get stopped out. It goes, runs right, halts up at 4, makes a break of $4. So the news was good. If you could have had this, even the reopen trade did set up. So if you reopens at a reasonable price. Now, if you're doing the reopen trade, you would use a limit order because you don't want to pay up. Like if it opens at 380, you probably don't want it. But if it opens tight enough to the halt price, and say you wanted a 350 stop or the previous high, which would have been about 335. If you want to put that as your stop, then figure out what you're willing to lose. If it's 25 cents, you put a limit buy at like 360, or maybe if you want to lose a little bit more than that, then 365 or something like that. And then you get repriced to the open at 360, even if you put in a limit buy at 375, and you put your stop in, get the trade, and then ride it either up until the next halt, takes them out in front of 4. You can hold some into the halt after that. But the key thing there is, do you think the news is big enough to create volume on a stock that didn't already have it? It's going to halt up because there was no liquidity initially. The question becomes, after it settles down, is it going to have some volume? This has now 2 million in volume because it was pretty legitimate news. So I'll eat crow on that one for kind of saying, like, I definitely brushed it off and was like, it doesn't have volume, who cares about it? And a lot of times that's going to be the case, but pretty solid news there for auto. I think that's why there was enough of a continuation that it became tradable if you had the initial long. So I hope someone took it on the reopen. It's obviously coming back in now, but guess what? If you took the reopen trade after the first halt, you're actually still in the money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're still pretty good there. So, yeah, and again, guys, like...
Oh, the poll.
Who should do the closing bell? Tony. Tony's doing it, so we can close that poll. Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't even talk to Tony yet. Tony, you going to do the close?
He's good.
Yeah, you got the thumbs up right there. So
that was more than a thumbs up, by the way. That was like
a hell yeah,
he's
I'm doing this. I'm short Tesla or something right now. So, yeah, Tony will do the bell. So thank you, Ms. V, for that. And thank you to myself for getting out of Microsoft, as now it's right back to its lows. So we gave up a little bit of money there on Softy coming back in, but you could see, yikes, back down to the downside as we wait to see where Mr. Softy wants to go from here. But it looks like everything wants to go to the downside. And I mean, I love my, hey, what's up? What is that? There we go. I love my wife, but again, oh, that's just you guys messing around. Okay. I was going to say, did I screw something up?
There shouldn't be a but when you say I love my wife, dude.
No. But I'm going to say it again. I love my wife, but she sent me this link here about let's grab some oysters. So I don't know if she's watching the show and is like, let's turn this mood around. No, it's just like, this is great, but you know, I got to get some funding to buy said oysters. So hopefully some of these stocks can continue to make some move for us. But
you find a way with oysters, man.
I'm finding a way. I mean, look, it's not even that expensive. Look at this, dozen for $27. I mean, that seems to be good for me, right? 16 oysters, $36.
That's a good deal.
I mean,
by the way, I'm calling it right now. Hopefully, if we get games back going, and I'm supposed to be taking Prad. We're supposed to be going to a Raptors game. Prad, you've never had oysters. We're going to Rodney's before the game, and we're gonna throw down. You're not gonna puke. Oysters are delicious. Like, we're gonna go to Rodney's. Rodney's Oyster House is like they kick butt. They're the best in Toronto. I mean, I love oysters, as you can probably tell. But Prad has never had them, so we're gonna make sure he enjoys that. Tony was super excited to ring the bell, by the way. Like, it was more than a hell yeah. We're loving it, and I'm already getting prepped for this for tomorrow because look at what happened on DWAC roll over like a lot of other names, but here's that 77 from the morning. Well, guess what? Didn't even get close to tested. Of course, I say that now, but it's right back at that 80 level. 80 gave you a breakdown, and I'll go to the 1 minute so you can see this a little bit better. 80 gave you a breakdown today, and then a reload stunk. And then when it broke back above 80, look at it shoot up. I shorted it once, 85, lost. Shorted it again when it was a failed break. That gave you VWAP. Of course, it gave you more off the last pump, but you know, it's right back barcoding at 80, holding 77. So some of the levels, like that 77 support, the longer it holds, the better chance you have a retest of some of those highs. And the next time it breaks 90, that's the 100 everyone's talking about. Of course, that plays both ways, right? Like if 77 breaks, look, it was a short when 90 came back in the other day. It would be a short when 77 also broke to the downside. So you got to play those in both directions, but can't ignore the fact that that's holding up, right? So regardless of what you think, that's a good level for tomorrow, and we'll be trading off of that. Hopefully, I mean, I guess it could always gap down below it. Yeah, I mean, if I say that, of course, it's going to probably gap down below it. And another fresh low in NASDAQ.
Yeah, get ready, man. The Microsoft is just hugely in the money right now for Sofi as it continues to go down. So, wow. We shorted this. We shorted a decent. The reason why I covered it is because we had a decent position in Microsoft short, which is unbelievable. I mean, look where we were short. Like, I was just joking around kind of with this short, man. Now you're down to 303. Oh, and balances. What the hell? Oh, man, this day has got on to us. Zynga with a big buy. People want to put their money into something that's a buyout. Okay, Apple with the milli on the sell side. So
that makes sense.
I mean, look at this, starting to fall down now. We'll watch Apple together as that's starting to make new lows. It looks like here for AAPL. So that name wants to go downside, and that's never fun when that happens. But there goes Apple to the downside. Procter's a buy. GM. Anyways, you guys can see them all here. It looks like it's just going to be a little bit of a mixed board, but with Apple, I guess, leading the way to the downside.
Yeah, it's like I'm sitting there like, why did I get out of my AMAT trade? Like, it's crazy. Like, that broke the 140. It actually hit the 200-period moving average. So I'm 99% sure that I have stink bit in there, so I should be filled in my personal account. I'll check it after the show. But just looking at some names, and again, anything that's green today, like
which stock did you want to
AMAT.
Oh, AMAT.
So like,
I thought you were looking at Airbnb.
So it was like, it had a gap still, a couple of dollars to the 200-period moving average. Yep. And then, like, what, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, that's already been chewed up, and it just got to that price level. I mean, I might check and I might have missed by like 10 cents, but I'm pretty sure I got it. Airbnb, and again, I'm just looking at my quote board for anything in the green. Like, I just saw DWAC was still holding some levels that were expected from the morning. Airbnb, which had a great breakout today. If you look at this, like Airbnb with a 157 break here today, go back over to the daily chart. Here's your support levels that it's bouncing off of right around this 153. You know, it actually was just breaking below its 200-period moving average. But you know, another one which is trying to hold some breakout levels, and it's got support below it. So in the event that you get a rebound day, you're looking for that relative strength. You know, I talked DWAC of specific levels. Airbnb has some other ones that are setting up as well. Brennan?
More on that auto news, guys. So this deal apparently is going to be on low mileage used Model 3s specifically, $550 a month with 5.5 or 5,500 down on a Model 3, which I guess is significantly better than you can do pretty much anywhere else. So good luck for auto, guys.
A lot of halts on that one. All right, so just looking out, yeah, autos, good name, but crazy name there as we go. Yeah, I'm saying wow as well there, Brad, as the market just keeps on falling. Yeah, VIX is going nuts right now. Look at Microsoft down to 202. If that happens, okay. Microsoft down to 302 again and just Tank City, man. There's absolutely nothing here at all. Like, this is a monster meltdown. Like, the NASDAQ, we're only down 0.34, but it's embarrassing how far down this is going right now.
And, like, here's...
Go ahead, yeah.
As Pred mentioned, I'll pull up UVXY because that's what Pred was talking. Maybe you guys didn't hear that, but he yelled out, "Look at UVXY!" Like, this is look at the move here, and you're not seeing any crest or anything. Like, this is extending. Like there was a consolidation at the high from yesterday, and then it's extending gains now. So like you're not seeing too much of a consolidation or pullback. That's a 5-minute chart, by the way. I know sometimes we're using 1 minute, but that's the kind of thing we're looking at. And on the ES, because I know we talk and show the NASDAQ very often, like it wasn't just like 15,000. You broke 4,500 on the ES as well. So the S&P broke a key area of support. And it's crazy. I mean, Daniel Shea was talking about those key levels that needed to get held up, and a couple of them just broke, right? So that's the market that we're in. And, good on Brendan for giving you updates on that auto stock. That's actually still holding up some gains, but now crossing 3 million in volume. So there you go. Like the volume holding up, even though it has that wick, it holds twice to the upside. You're going to get a pullback. I don't care what stock it is. At some point, they pull back when they get moves like that. But if it holds at 350, not a bad looking chart, right? So probably one I'm going to add to my list. The airline names, which are looking good, have managed to hold up. And then I totally forgot to talk about this name at all in the afternoon show. Vinco broke back below the 200 period and back below that $4 level. That was pretty good. Like there was a good bounce off for the afternoon show yesterday. It broke that and recovered in the morning. Well, it reclaimed it and is now sitting on the lows. With only 5 minutes to go, there's not much I'm doing about it down at this 384 level. It's a big level, obviously, you can see. Previous top back in the 13th, breakout and then dip support at that same price level. And now you have a double bottom today on Vinco Ventures. So this, also at key levels, down 15% on its rise. Hopefully, after this level, the next one is at 330 that we were talking about just last week as well. So key levels in a lot of stocks, obviously, but another one here, Vinco Ventures, right on it might not break this at the close, to be honest. Might break it after market or maybe tomorrow, but it's right at that key level from this morning.
All right, screw it, forget about. Oh, I was going to say forget about this. Let's just go. We've been trying to go long Microsoft. I'm going to hold it to 301 now, or 301 flat. Well, we missed the reload on the long there. We just tried it twice. We got very, very quick stop outs, and I was like, you know what? I feel like there may be a rally into the close here, but now we're a little off now. If Microsoft can flip down into the 301.50 area, we will get long again on this name. It's stupid. There it goes. It's stupid because we were short, right? So that's really the problem for me, and then that's why I'm most upset, man. It's like I'm short this name, and then all of a sudden this like absolute collapse happens, and now I'm just like find myself trying to get back in on the long, which is ridiculous. But here it goes back up to the upside, Microsoft. We'll see. 301's come. I mean, every level is getting crushed. This was like a short that we should have been on. We were on it right here. I can't believe that was $4 ago on Microsoft. Wow. Brendan, with only 4 minutes left, please make this day end.
It was pretty definite, I guess is the good word to say. Imbalances, guys, were a buy going into 350 and then flipped to a huge sell. So Netflix on day lows as we speak. Going to show you earnings here. Netflix really the only one that matters, but yeah, ugly for Netflix right now.
It's ugly for everything. Like energy was holding up. I mean, the XLE is down 1% today. So I was just checking. Like my quote board has a bunch of names, has a bunch of pages. One of them is an ETF page. I was just checking out when someone mentioned the IWM was testing 200. But Netflix in this, look, a day like today, it doesn't matter. Like ultimately, it's going to be a tough road for them to have a big print to the upside. Danielle talked about it, that she'd be looking the other direction. At least you can say with Netflix, if it does put in like a 10% area type move, it has some serious support when it barcoded for a year around that 450 to 460, which does sit 10% below where it is right now. But with 3 minutes to go, you're right, Sean. It's like everyone is just starting to think about, let's just get the day over with when you're sitting in a short. And admittedly, like it's not like it's that simple when you're sitting in the shorts either, because I was all short pretty much 4 or 5 names when we started the show and covered everything. And I feel like, it's like I guess sometimes you just got to hold it to the close. But I mean, obviously Peloton, we talked about that, and it's managed to hold the bottom. So I'm going to look at that level tomorrow. This 24 area for Peloton has managed to hold up. So it's barcoded here despite the market continuing to fall. So there are some things we can look at in case we get some kind of a bounce tomorrow, identifying the key levels. Found a few of them in the last half an hour, so we'll be prepared for tomorrow's action. We're not doing anything in the last couple of minutes for me except watching the carnage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding this Microsoft. We'll see how far it goes. I don't have really any expectations. It was almost got me out there on the downside, but here it goes, right back up. So now finally we'll catch a little bit of a winner as we'll just average this out here on Softy to the upside as we just keep on getting something out here. Go Softy, finally, good, okay. This is funny because now Softy's gonna be positive for me on the day if we can get this upside right now. We are almost up on Microsoft on the day despite having a couple screw ups there. This was a good short. Actually, we are up. What am I talking about? It's other names. I'm talking about my net. Not going to be up today, but it's getting closer and closer here on a nice battle back. I guess the imbalance has flipped a little bit. Apple must have flipped over as well. I don't see it on here anymore. I don't really see any valuable name, like not valuable names, but like valid names. Maybe Oracle could move the market here. But other than that, man, there's really nothing. Verizon's not a moving stock. BAC is there. We've already talked about. Zenga was a bid, I think. Now it's a sell. So just a couple back and forths here as the market is almost finito here as we go. So a nice little win on the last couple shares, but we only have a minute and a half left as it's nice to see the market rebounding. But again, man, like we got some out there near 80s and 90s, and then it just stops and now wants to go back down. So what was a good trade there looks like will be about flat as here it comes screaming back to the downside with only a minute left, Neil.
Yeah, with only a minute. You mentioned Oracle there. I just sort of noting that actually, it's not a huge imbalance still, but it just accelerated. Go again the second time here. The market accelerated, but it accelerated a second time with just 2 minutes to go, and when that imbalance stayed to the sell side. So another name getting depressed. Tesla 995. I'm watching AMAT. It got to that 200 period. We'll see what happens with Netflix. Tougher environment for them, but there's definitely support on that daily. If it puts a 10% move down, that is right in some pretty solid support for Netflix. So certainly worth watching, obviously for tomorrow, but also in the aftermarket when the release does happen. I think we're getting ready on the bell. I don't know where. There he is. He's locked and loaded. Tony's ready to go. There you go.
Yo.
That'll make everybody happy. That's what we need to see, right? Get a smile on everyone's face.
It's Tony the Tiger.
Ready to go. It's always going to be a lot of fun around here no matter what happens. Ooh, Oracle just bounced. So maybe we see some bounce in the market at the close. Going to drop the countdown and drop the bell for our man, Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, let's go.
6, 5. Just leave it on him. Let him do it.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, kill it with kindness, my man. There it is. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Front hand, back
there
hand.
it is. Yeah, yeah. Was that a little bit of dabbing there going on? What was that? Good job there, Tony. Thank you for the love and the support. Tony crushing it, a recent hire for us here at Day Trade the World. So good job there on Tony, but don't quit your day job. What's up, Brendan? How did the market wind up? I feel like it was great.
Good one. Yeah, no, not so good. That was pretty ugly on the way into the close there, guys. Here we go. Lots of red numbers coming your way here for North America. Once again, 1%, 1.2 here. 0.5% for the Dow, holding up a little better. Hey, Bitcoin was positive. So there's that.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
We're leaving it at that? Okay.
Well, Brazil was up. I can't even. What?
Can't hate on Brazil, right? Okay, we'll just put another offer here. We're actually getting out in the aftermarket here on Softy. We have one more. Oh, he still shows me, and I just have one little leg left to get out, which is going to be a good one. So thank God Microsoft went up there a little bit. We saved some decent cash there at the close. Wow, what a crazy day. Shout out to Prad, Miss V as well, working today. What a great show, that midday show.
Already, yeah.
Netflix is out. Okay, let's quickly look on there. Thank you to Miss V if we don't get that.
So it just went to 468.
Hello, come to my chart right now, please, and thank you. Netflix, see you later. 470. Oh man, you guys thought today was bad? Okay, Netflix, you better save the day here, or this is not good for tomorrow, guys. Netflix right now getting cranked lower and lower and lower as Yeah, I'm not in this name, thank God, but this does not bode well for big cap tech. And I have no idea, obviously, what they've released. Brendan will probably have that. But wow, what a move down here for Netflix. Let's just wait to see what happens. A big time movement to the downside, 470 right now on NFL.
Like how significant this 460 is on Netflix? It spent a year and a half with that price as the floor. A year and a half Netflix had this price as the floor, and we're basically on that one print right down into that price level. So that 10%, it just went right there. And it's actually still going down, Brennan.
Yeah, so it's subs, guys. It's paid net subs change was 2.5 million versus 6.2 expected. So huge miss on the subs there for Netflix.
Wow. Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah, just absolutely nasty. We will go over those numbers. Follow us on Twitter. Maybe Brendan will tweet out some numbers, or I will, or one of us will, anyways, as we go. But I don't know if we got. I said shout out to Ms. V. I don't know if she was on the screen there, but thank you to Ms. V today. Oh, no mic?
What?
Oh, the camera's for Tony now. Well, we may have to get better. We may have to get more cameras here, but we're sacrificing Miss V for Tony here, Neil.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, we'll figure that out. But thank you, Tony, again for ringing the bell. Tony's loving it over there. That's why I love Tony. But anyways, thank you to everybody. Obviously, Rob today working the cameras. Lucas as well. Rob and Mark as well in the back. I know Maggie's been super busy. Doing everything in the back. Yep. So thank you to Maggie
she's here now,
yeah, I know she's here now, so that's great. Thanks Maggie for that one, and for everybody with our Trader TV Live team. It's been a fantastic day. Wow, we're excited to see tomorrow. 359 trades I made. There it is. We fixed it. There we go. Yeah, she was just like, I don't know what you were doing there, Ms. V, but you got caught there. So what's up to Ms. V? What's up to everybody? Have a great evening. Tomorrow's going to be fun with Netflix. So watch Squid Game or something and pretend you're a participant tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.
See ya. More like Money Heist.